Good afternoon, Division Debrief! You got it right this week. I wrote it down too. Look, I really did.
Good afternoon. That's awesome.
Welcome, guys. Happy Sunday, May 19th, 2019. Division Debrief, another one, as they say. We are back. Lots of excitement and cool things to talk about. With me, the blue-bearded wonder, my brother from a Detroit mother, Mr. I am Janko. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome, everybody in chat. I'm JohnnyBoom, JB Putts Extraordinaire. Here we are, Division Debrief. What's up, Janko?
Putts Extraordinaire. I love it, dude. You got to get that if you ever get new Twitch cards, like new Twitch business cards, you got to put Putts Extraordinaire on there.
I thought about doing like the aficionado magazines of like, and they're all like, oh, look at me, I'm an aficionado. And I was going to be like, use like the same words, but put putts and then be like,
JohnnyBoom Esquire, Putts
showing the world how to putts it up.
Right. Professional maroon. Right.
What's up, Tim?
Anyway, what's up, guys? I am Janko. Johnny, thank you very much for being here again, man. I love doing these.
Yes,
everybody in chat, thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for doing that. Click all the shit. Thanks. Dude, this week there's not much to talk about, man.
No, it's gonna be a quiet show. We should be done in about like 5-10 minutes.
I mean, nothing's really going on. There's been no drama. There's been no controversy.
No, everything's been really calm and respectable on Twitter. It's been really good.
Yeah,
Reddit, there's a beacon of positivity right now.
Oh, it is. It is. Like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, the only posts I've seen on there all week have been super positive, and for a minute I thought maybe the world was ending.
Yeah, it's not.
Right. And then I woke up and I realized everything is normal and we're full of shit. And so title update 3. First thing we'll jump into, just because that kind of leads into everything else.
Yes.
Kind of quick on that. What did you think about it before, like the raid launch Thursday? Title update 2 was Tuesday. What did you think of the update before the raid launch, or even since, if there's anything else that you've like noticed, played, liked better, like big changes, anything like that you really noticed?
Yeah, the damage to elites number, I think, is wildly important now, particularly in the raid. I logged in and I felt like my character was still hitting hard, and I was like, derp. I didn't realize the update had gone through, and my build is based around Unstoppable Force, my LMG build. And I looked at the numbers and I still was hitting hard, but when I got in the raid, I'm like, oh boy, better change my build around, because it wasn't there. And I looked at the stat sheet, which I think sometimes is really important, but sometimes overrated too, believe it or not. And because sometimes you think like one stat is really important, and you realize like maybe it's not helping you as much as you want or think. But at any rate, I logged in and I was like, wow, my damage to elites was down to like 55. Was hitting hard in the open world, not hitting hard in the raid. And then I went, wow, the change is real. I think I noticed it. I think the raid helped me notice the changes a lot more than the traditional content would have.
Yeah.
I
kind of dig that. I know when when title update 3 came on, I went in and noticed things obviously were like easier. I thought my build, the build that I was running before that, didn't get changed at all. I knew it was coming, so like on the ropes still worked the exact same, compensated still worked the same, the unstoppable force still worked the same, spotter still worked the same. So for the most part, my build was the exact same. And because they nerfed a lot of the NPCs, like things just felt easier. I didn't feel like I was taking as much damage. I wasn't doing as much, but I didn't need to.
Sure.
And so I was really, really confident going into the raid. And then Thursday came around, and there was oof indeed, man. There was a whole new level of dick slapping that I was unprepared for.
Can you really prepare for? Well, I mean, you can prepare for dick slapping.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can practice. Yeah. You start with light
practice
flicks.
Makes perfect.
Yeah, I mean, you start with light flicks and move up to some
By the way,
gentle
random thought.
jostling
Did you see
first.
the slapping tournament that's like all the rage these days?
No.
I'm on Facebook and I'm with the wife somewhere and I'm like, yo, check this out. And she's like, oh, I already saw it. I'm like, and basically they line up like arm wrestlers and they get one. The guy's like, it was awesome. His hands are on the ground. He's like, he like channels his inner Zen and then he just winds up and goes, walla boosh. And the guy next to him's like, derb. And they got referees and it's like boxing. And the guy's like, are you okay? Can you go on? He's like, yeah, I'm cool. And then he went, boom. Then he slaps the guy. And they're going back and forth. He winds up knocking the guy out.
Oh my
it's
God.
It's like an all new tournament now. Yeah. I'm like, I'm glad I have a normal job, I guess.
Dude.
I'll send you the video. I'm sorry. I had to throw that one.
No, that's funny as hell. One of my favorite, I don't know if you ever watched How I Met Your Mother. But one of my favorite running jokes through all of that is in season 1, Barney loses a slap bet to Marshall. And so Marshall gets to slap him at any time. And then I think they go double or nothing or whatever. and basically it ends up with Marshall owing Barney 5 slaps. And it is exactly that. Like, he's just allowed to slap him at any time as hard as he possibly can. And that's what it is. And so that gag goes through the entire series. Like, it's just every now and then you're watching this. Hey, Mrs. Boom. She like a little side step over. She's like halfway over. That was so funny. The awareness of like, oh shit, I'm on camera.
Caught out.
Aww. Clip it, guys. Somebody loves Johnny.
I'm awesome.
But yeah, so
it's
like
beard.
even like there's a Thanksgiving episode that they call Slapsgiving, because Marshall's talking the entire day about how he's just gonna slap the shit out of Barney.
Dude, that's awesome. We should incorporate that at TwitchCon.
Yo, what's up, Puddin'? Fuck that. Sorry, I forgot. We're on during the day, so I gotta watch my language again. But no, seriously, like I have no problem with like. There's no way I would ever get into a slap fight ever.
No way.
No, I mean, for money, because ultimately I am a whore, so I would do anything for money. But it would have to be enough money.
I pretty much would do it for a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go down, like potentially get knocked out for a slap, I need a $500 bill, man, because you're going to the ER.
Dude, just 500?
Yeah, I'm gonna slap for money. That's fine. That's great.
Mrs. Boom in the background. I'll slap you for free.
Can we, thank God we edit these. I'll slap you for free.
Right. Guys, awesome. Clip it. Anybody at TwitchCon can slap Johnny for $500. That's what he just said.
Yeah, if you see me on the floor at TwitchCon, you can slap me for $500. Just don't be surprised when Beard and Pete and the rest of the 300-pound linemen escort you out through your head.
Right. The rest of the Boom Squad take the $500 out of your wallet.
Yeah, they'll take the cash, and then I'm on the floor like, ah!
Yep.
Great.
But yeah, no. So back on topic. We we got in the raid. You got in the raid some. Have you gotten back in? Well, what was your experience when you went in? What did you think? Because that's kind of where we're leading into. So
sure. So I logged in, and it was a little wonky. I didn't expect it to be like that. Again, I'm basing a lot of my experiences from Destiny, which may be good and may be bad. But once we figured out how to raid, and the cinematic was very cool. It was very like helicopter comes in, jump off the deck into the water. Dude, Imp with 2 months.
Imp with 2 months, being an absolute badass.
So much,
Thank you so much, dude.
Participating in the pool for the slap bet winner. Done.
Nice.
Thanks, Imp. I love you, man. Thank you for supporting Janko and I and a lot of people, man. You're awesome. I logged in. I got in. The cinematic per division, per Ubisoft Massive was cool. They do a great job with that, in my opinion.
Wait, there was a cinematic?
Oh, who? Huh?
There was a cinematic?
Yeah. It's short.
I was gonna say there was a cinematic. Oh wait, are you talking about like where you're on like the little hoverboat or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
You come in. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. Kind of set the tone. I'm like, oh shit, we're flying in. This is cool. Here we go. First room. I was like, wow, okay, hard but cool. I get it. and then Boomer, and then like the life just got pulled out of the room. No, I think it was really, the first experience was really cool. I dug the boss, the way he spoke, the way he was like, I'm a total badass, I'm gonna chase you guys around the room. The mechanics were really cool. They weren't over the top like sometimes I felt Destiny things were, but then once you do them, they turn out to not be. They were really cool. I wound up doing the first 2 rooms. Haven't beat any of them, but I got to experience room 1, and I was in someone else's checkpoint for room 2. Room 2 is totally cool.
Really?
It's actually better than 1, and it's easier than 1. In theory, we can get into that. I really dug it. I was happy that it was here, but man, it was a reality check. I think that was what I took out of it the most, was my build and me and my team were not ready. And it just was painfully obvious.
Yeah.
In a fun way. I walked away from it, like you and I talked about off stream, going, man, my energy is back with the Division to try to get new gear or just get back into it. So, because I was feeling a little blasé. I was feeling a little like, come on, man, we need something.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of did the same thing. We got in, and I wasn't even all that amped about it until like the day before. And I was like, you know what, I do. And like, one of the reasons when I started streaming, I wanted to do Destiny, and like, I don't know, I was a big fan of Destiny, and the day 1 world's first races for Destiny raids are just amazing. I remember I didn't even have a team for Riven for Last Wish. I didn't have a team that day. And I streamed just kind of talking about and like going back and forth in the race. And like I was watching different streams and like, you know, keeping up on who was where and what was going on. And that was just a blast. And so I was really happy to see Massive and to a less, I mean, even the community, like, you know, really kind of pushing that idea of world's first. And, you know, Massive came out with the idea of the plaque in the base of operations for the world's first, which I really quickly, I thought it was super cool, but I did think, and I did say this even before we realized how much of a pain in the ass the raid is on the console, that they should have had a world's first for on PC. You get all 3, like PC, Xbox, PS4, or at least PC and console, because they are different beasts, and everybody has known that, you know, even in Destiny and throughout gaming history, right? PC is just different. I'm not saying easier, harder, whatever, but it's just it's a different beast. There's a reason why, you know, the world's first in Destiny 2, since it's been on PC, every world's first team has been on PC. You know, and I don't think it's a coincidence that Marco and his team, and then a couple of shout out to them, by the way, amazing job for
absolutely
being world's
granted. You
first
gotta
in
give
that.
it to him.
You know, I don't think it's at all a coincidence that they finished in 5 hours. Next team finished a few minutes later. Next team finished a few minutes later. And there's been a bunch. And literally the first team to clear it on a console was yesterday, 36 hours after the raid launched.
36 hours. Oof.
So 3 days later, somebody finally beat it on console. Yeah.
Has an Xbox team beat it yet? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I'm not. Yorkie said he's on Xbox. Have you looked at the leaderboards on Xbox to see if anybody's beaten it yet on Xbox?
It's a fun frustration, Carbing says. That's a great explanation. It really is. And I'll say this, I don't want to get too far ahead and off topic. We are going to be fine in a few weeks or a month or a few days. And I truly believe that. And I tweeted about it briefly. I was like, you know, I'm a little worried about it, but I'm not ready to sound the alarm. And I really think once the strategies and our builds are geared, because we're gear scored fine. I don't think we're built the right way, all of us. Generally speaking, I hate to generalize. So I think we're going to be good. So stick with it. Let's not hit the panic button just yet.
Well, and that's the thing with everybody talking about it on console and talking about wanting it nerfed or whatever. You know, the community is going crazy. I mean, there was a massive uprising about matchmaking even before the raid launched. And so I do want to get into that, but
absolutely.
And you know, so like our first thoughts about the raid, you know, there was all this shit about matchmaking, and then it came out, and people on PS4, or I'm sorry, people on PC were like advancing. And if you're watching the streams, right, you see who's where, and then you just see a ton of people. There was one point I was in the raid, and I think the first time we went in, we were in Boomer's room for about 2.5, 3 hours or something.
Okay.
And as you scroll down Twitch, it's just Boomer, 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 Boomer. Some weird thing with airplanes. Boomer, Boomer, Boomer. Like everybody was on.
And
Boomer.
I'm getting no royalties out of any of this. Just in case anyone's wondering. Like I could put my kids through college by now, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks.
But yeah, no, I mean it's the one thing that, like Imp said. Imp and I, we were in the same raid team. Half of our team had played a decent amount together. Half of us had. I mean, I'd never played with half of our team. And so that definitely led to some of our issues with it. But the one thing that kind of kept me going through all of that, and then another 3 or 4 hours later on, was the fact that so many people were stuck on it. So it wasn't, there was never,
even to this day.
Yeah, there was never this feeling of like, dude, we suck, we're terrible. Or it wasn't even so much to me like this is too hard. It was just we just have to get our timing down. Like we figured out the mechanics for it. Relatively quickly before 2 wipes, we figured out the majority of the mechanics, and then from that point on, it was just trying to get our communication and our movement down, and that's what that and DPS is what that entire room is about. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't want them to change a thing. I said last night on stream. If they find a bug, because we were talking about it, and the couple of theories that I think Imp and Gale had come up with was that we're curious if there's a bug on console where instead of scaling to 4 people in a group, it's scaling to 8. Because when you look, like Gale had said last night, when he hits the boss
automatically anyways though?
I don't know. I don't know, but it seems like
it does, but I can't confirm that.
It probably does. But here's the thing, like Gale said that when he watches like the damage he does when he shoots the boss during the damage phase, he's doing the same damage as, you know, like some of the PC people that are doing it. But man, you see the PC damage on that boss just get chunked. Like for a while, we legitimately thought that there was a mechanic keeping us from doing more than 2 armor bars per damage phase, because we couldn't bust past 2. And then you watch, you know, some of the PC streams or whatever, and they're chunking 3 and 4 bars per damage phase. And then it's just, I don't know. Well,
I think there's something there. I do. I think there's something that's slightly off in the coding, because I kept asking people that. I'm like, well, why does, because I'm not playing on PS4 anymore, so I can't speak to it and be like, no, you guys are crazy. That's not who I am. And I think I asked even like Kirky this, and I maybe asked you, I'm like, what is making it so much harder? Because it's the same game. And like, I know like we can aim better on PC traditionally, so they say. I mean, I've seen some people on PC who still have potato aim. I mean, and I have my moments too. And I think the one consensus a lot of people said was like the aim is part of it, but they said it just feels like you said, like something is just not right, and there's just maybe they're not getting the output that they deserve, I guess, if you say. Like if your build is X, Y, and Z, you're not getting that damage that should really be there. I think it's crazy that they now have it down to like, I think the fastest was like an hour and a half.
Somebody yesterday on PC did it 26 minutes.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like, so something tells me, I think the console people have a legitimate gripe. And then that also tells me on PC that a lot of people still aren't building right, meaning builds. Because if they're banging out, you have Boomer, you have a second room, a third room, and a fourth room. If you're at 26 minutes, that's 5 minutes a room. That means you probably, and you still have the intro.
Yeah.
Like that little part outside. Yeah. I'm calling it an intro. Dude, like, I don't know, man. Like, that seems really suspect to me. I mean, I don't mean to call out anyone. That's just, there's too much material there for 26 minutes.
Yeah, it's funny because Marco loaded a video of their kind of like a walkthrough or a guide for each encounter, and I'm still one of those types of people. I want to see. I'm trying to stay as blind as possible. I'm not gonna watch any of that stuff until Tuesday or Wednesday, just because I do want the week 1 patch. So if it gets to Tuesday and we still haven't beaten it, then I will watch everything and try to get through it as quickly as possible so I can get that week 1 patch. But when you watch them when they actually beat Boomer, and even in his video, he's like, "Don't even worry about the PC
Yep.
mechanic to keep the batteries down or whatever. Like, just ignore it, and if they pop up, just jump on a turret and kill them." And it was like, I know that our group was not the most coordinated, and but my God, I couldn't even imagine trying to do that and trying to keep both of the batteries down. Like, I don't know. It just seems like it's a different beast. And the reason the scaling to 8 kind of came up is yesterday there was 4 of us doing heroics, and heroic enemies feel tougher, like more spongy than the raid mobs did. So like heroic mobs feel tougher than the raid mobs did, and that's with 4 at heroic. So we're wondering if there was a weird scaling with 8 people, or if somehow it's bugged and console is hard or challenge mode instead of normal, because it feels weird that NPCs would be kind of like easier or feel softer than heroic enemies, but that boss, dude, I hit him there was one damage phase, I hit him with 5 of the Boom Boom tube rounds and did next to nothing. I mean,
no. But that's been going on a lot of the material, let alone the raid. Like the bosses, if you go do bounties,
yeah,
some of those tank guys, like they're laughing at our specialization rounds. It's not even like you and I talked about in previous debriefs, where it's like you have that armor pool and maybe it's this big and you hit them with 5 and then the armor pool is shrink. The armor pool doesn't move. Like you see the cracking, but is it really taking armor off? I call shenanigans there.
Well, I don't think it does, because
I don't think it does.
It's always weird to me that when you get the armored enemies, if you pop their helmet off, he'll immediately take like full headshot damage and you can pretty much kill him. But if you take off like his arm, but then you land more shots on his arm, it still takes off armor damage. Like you're still hitting armor shots. It's so fucking weird.
I know. Like if you're saying if you crack the actual arm off, you still shoot his arm.
Yep.
You're still getting arm damage coming off.
Right.
Yeah, that's
it's just there's something weird about the way that they do it.
Weird.
Yeah, I still prefer it to Division 1. But yeah, man, they're just there seems to be something weird, and even the healing mechanic on console. Like I was watching, like I said, Marco's video about it, and when he would focus on the time when when Boomer's healing mechanic would go off, it seems like it even heals faster on console. And maybe that's just because that's where I am. I don't know, but just, dude, we would knock down 2 bars. His chest would come up and we were like, chest, chest, chest. And by the time we even shot it to get it down, and I mean, it was really quick. I mean, a half a bar to a full bar was already back up. There were times that we had gotten him through 3 or 4 damage phases down. Like we had done a total of 5 bars or so of damage. And by the end of it, with everybody focused on the healing thing, to the point that we weren't killing ads enough because everybody was hyper focused on that stupid healing thing, he was healed back up. Like it's just, it's insanely fast and it feels broken.
I'm with Carving even there. Even on PC, it feels really fast. Now, I know the argument from like the big guys would be, well, we did it. Well, you know, that's like saying your average fighter pilot can go to Top Gun. That's just not going to happen. So you got to, and it's always like everything else, you got to balance what they're doing, what, you know, someone below them would do, and maybe what you and I would do if we're not in that second tier. Like I always think of tier people. You have your Top Guns, you have your elites, and you have your casuals to above casuals. And I don't really like that term, but, you know, like the average person who's pretty good at games. The healing thing is really, really fast. Yeah. Really fast. Almost to the point where even it's the same thing on PC. Believe me, I've done it. We've gotten 2 bars down and then he heals and he's back up to, if you notice, it kind of shades.
Yeah.
So it looks like he'll get that 1 bar back and then the second one will be half lit up. Like you get a little bit of a buffer before, you know, it heals completely.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of the challenging nature of that room. I think that's what makes the room hard, that and the NPCs. If you don't have crowd control, you're done.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't have communication and you don't. I've seen so many people running the raid in that first room, he goes to damage phase. There's 8 players in there, and 2 people are shooting the boss.
Right.
I mean, you can't have that.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of those things. But I think PC console, I think something is there. I don't know what. I feel for you guys. I hope, believe it or not, something is there so they could fix it and you could enjoy it and still have it be challenging. But like, if it's off right now and challenging, that's not acceptable. That's too much to ask of even these elite guys to overcome. Because it's already really hard.
No, it absolutely is, and I want it that way. Like, I'm not saying all of this because I want it changed. I said last night on my stream, if something's broken, fix it. If it's not, let us know so that we just know that we need to get good. So that way we know that there's something wrong with our build. Because, I mean, even yesterday, that's I don't want to say instead of going into the raid because we couldn't get a group together, and I know you wanted to talk about, like, the 8-man issue, but we were struggling finding a couple extra people. So we just went around and actually, like, grinded tier 3 control points for gear, for attachments. I realized I don't have any extended mags for 7.62 at all. Like, I don't even have the 10-round one.
I'm still short. I got a blueprint for a shotgun the other day. That was really cool.
Sweet. Yeah. But so, like, that's what we were doing instead of, really pushing to try to find an 8th, because, like, we need to get our builds better. Like, we just do. I actually switched from LMG because my LMG build is more about sustained DPS, and you just need burst DPS. So I switched to an assault rifle.
I'll say this. I don't want to spoil too much. I think the other thing people need to do is strategy. It's in my opinion right now, the raid, and I've only done the first 2 rooms. I won't spoil too much, hopefully. I know some people probably don't need to worry about that now, but in my opinion, the raid right now is about DPS, DPS, and DPS. And communication. If you don't have those 2 things, you are not going to get past even the first room. You flat out won't. But the one thing I'll say, if I could offer suggestions to anybody, and you run what you want. I think the LMG is really good for the boomer room, and I think you're better off, or excuse me, the secondary room, because there's 2 mini bosses and a main boss who's not nearly as hard as boomer, and they are always, always, always in the open, so you'll get a damage buff right there. That in itself, there's not as many. There's not as many NPCs in bad positions in the second room. They're just kind of there, and you could rotate from room to room so you can keep distance and they won't overwhelm you. So you could say, Janko, me and you shoot the left, Imperium and Kirky, you shoot the right. You clear those NPCs, and then you call out, okay, everyone damage the boss.
Yeah.
We got the boss down, the main boss in the second room with a group of randoms who've never played together, down to below half. And the only reason we didn't beat the room is we couldn't clear ads, which was communication.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have enough damage to elites either. No, you got to have weapon damage, and damage to elites is so important in this. I have a few strategy ideas and theories myself, which we can get to. But yeah, I think that's part of it.
Well, one of the things that I had seen today, because if you go to the leaderboards, you can see who's cleared it and, like, their time, but you can also inspect them, which I think is super cool. And I don't know if these people were running the builds that I saw on them when they cleared the raid, or if that's just what they were in when I clicked on their name, right? Like, if I'm running True Patriot in the raid and then I get out and I go back to, like, my LMG build, what shows up on that leaderboard, I don't know. So, like, I don't know if it's my current build or what, but somebody was running an LMG, but running it on sharpshooter. And so I was almost thinking that I might try to do that instead of even this assault rifle. But I'm kind of handcuffed right now on the assault rifle build I'm putting together. I like it a lot, but without the extended mag, it's god awful. I'm reloading more than I'm doing anything else. And then I'm also just absolutely, I've been bent over by RNG as far as gloves. Like, I can't get a good pair of gloves that match with the build. So I was almost thinking of keeping my old LMG build, but switching it over to sharpshooter, because you get the weapon handling and, like, stability bonus plus the headshot damage. That would allow me then to possibly mod my weapon out more for either crit chance, crit damage, or headshot damage, or damage to elites, as opposed to needing to stack a shit ton of stability because my LMG I'm running unhinged. You know, and you need to balance out that negative handling there. Yeah, so like I was almost thinking of doing that. So like I hope that we can get back in today because I want to try both and see which one I like better. But yeah, what do you think? I mean, we're talking so much about coordination, communication. It is an 8-man raid. You and I talked about it a little bit beforehand, but we didn't get into like our individual thoughts. What do you think of the 8-man? Chat, what do you think? Do you think it's too much? Do you think, and we can kind of get into this, we can get into the matchmaking with this too, because when you add, you know, like most people, when you're raiding on a console shooter, right, we think of Destiny, right, which are 6-man raids, 6-person raids to be politically correct. Anyway, so is 8 too much? And matchmaking, should it be there? Should it not be? What do you we'll get more into my next question in a minute as far as matchmaking goes, but do you think it should be? Do you not? And is 8 too much or not enough?
Yes, it's too much.
Do you really think
unpopular.
So?
I really do, and I'm going to make my case, and I respect everyone's opinion. So if I'm throwing my opinion out there, just kind of hear me out. And I'm not trying to convince anyone. It's just, you know, like this is what we do here. These are our thoughts. These are my opinions. Right now, I think it's too much, and the reason I'm saying that is it's hard for me coming from Destiny where I really like 6. Do I think it can be done and be an enjoyable experience with 8? Yeah, I do. I've liked it so far. And there's rooms where you literally have to break apart. Subgroup 1 goes one way and subgroup 2 goes the other. I think the reason I'm saying that is, and I don't know why necessarily, but I really feel like those additional 2 slots leaves more room for people to quote unquote hide out in the group and not be as exposed. Meaning like we were playing with a group last night and it just leaves, you could tell like we didn't have it, right? And it was harder for us to pinpoint who it was because it was those 2 additional people. Like we had 3 people in there who were doing really good. And then I want to consider myself in the 4th and 5th slot. We're doing pretty good. So now you're talking about like, now you got to blame 3 other people to potentially see where the flaw is. And I just think 6 logistically would be easier. It's just what I'm used to. It's what I like. And I just think matchmaking or trying to get 8 is hard with people's lives and schedules. I just think it would be easier to, like we've had last night, right? I'll just throw this out there and then I want to get your take for sure and then come back to it because there's a lot there to talk about. Last night it was me, Kirky, Petey, and Beard. We had 4 right away. Mm-hmm. We should have been able to be like, yo, Janko, can you grab Imp and like we'll do a raid? Cool. That would have been 6. Instead, we would have have to be like, hey, can you grab you, Imp, Gale, and Young? And it's just, I feel like it gives percentages. It's harder to group people. And I don't know. I said it all along. I just think long term, it may or may not be in the best interest. They're not going to change it, so I guess I'm stuck with it. Yeah. I just think right now it's doable, but long term, if this is still really an issue, I think it's going to be harder and harder to get the other people in, I guess is my point.
I mean, I think 8 feels good for the division. Like even Gale had said, like 8 just makes sense because you know, you're so used to your fire teams in Destiny being 3 people, right? So then a raid, it's like 2 fire teams, right? So you've got that. In Division, your squad has always been 4 people. So a 4-person group to me feels good. It feels right. I do agree. It's a lot to to coordinate. We ran into that issue last night too, and even day one.
Yeah.
We had myself and Imp and John from my guild and Commander Black, and like we had our group, and there was a couple other people in Discord that were like, well, we might be able to, but then when you start getting into mites and blah blah blah, it's a pain in the ass to schedule, because a lot of people that play this game aren't professional gamers, right? They're not professional streamers. They're not full-time gamers or streamers, and everybody has lives. And so trying to get 8 people coordinated together. I mean, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons a lot when I was a kid, and in my 20s and 30s and early 30s, I was playing, and we just ended up quitting at one point because we couldn't find one day in a week that 6 of us could get together for 3 hours. And now, that was different because you kind of had to go to the same, everybody had to go to the same place. So it was a little bit different. This is just everybody can be at home. But between, like, countries and timelines and everything else, it's just coordination is a pain in the ass. But I still think it feels good. But
I like it. I'm not all with it. I get your and Gail's point. I really do. For me, it's, again, like you said, to your point, it's the coordination, and it just feels, luckily, like, the areas feel good for 8. That's a good thing, right? Like, they don't feel like you're clustered. Like, if anything, even the room with Boomer for 8 people, that's a good sized room.
Yeah.
And you're moving around, you're not stepping on each other's toes. I mean, obviously not literally, but you know what I mean? Like, you're not bumping into each other. I just think coordination wise, I'm not a huge fan of it, and that's just my concern without being redundant. I actually had a question for you and for chat while we're talking about this.
Hey, Star, what's up?
This storyline.
Yeah.
In regards to the raid, like, because the big topic is it too hard, etc. Do you feel like we're used to a certain level of challenging, no pun intended, material in the division, and now we see this, and the average division player is like, whoa, this is way more than I'm used to. I'm not gonna try this.
100%.
Yeah, because I think that's part of it. Like, even myself, I'm like, wow, man. Like, I've done 1 or 2 missions solo in Division 1, and that was hard for me. I'm not great at that, but I think the average person is looking at the time and the effort needed, and they're just like, nope, I'm not into that. And I will say this: I don't want to necessarily name him by name because he may not want me to, but a friend who's a good player was like, good. It's meant to be challenging and further the person who really wants to push their experience. It's not meant to be, Amherst apartment on challenging.
Right.
It's supposed to drive you. And eventually, like, we'll get it down to an hour and a half. You'll see everyone be like, yo, want to raid? Cool, we'll enjoy it right now. Do you think that's scaring people away? I want to get into my opinion.
I mean, I definitely think it's scaring people away. As Mr. PvE said, gamers expect this to be like legendary missions, right? Which is just go in, dump a bunch of bullets into bullet spongy enemies, and that's not what this is, right? Where you can match make for it relatively easily. Personally, I came up. You don't have to shut up, Start. You rock.
No, absolutely not.
Part of I come from MMO raiding, right? In not so much Galaxies, but in Age of Conan and in SWTOR and stuff like that. I am used to longer raids that, especially when they first launch, if you've got 5 or 6 different boss rooms, that's a week of gaming right there, right? Your entire goal every night, or ours was, because like we were all just, part-time kind of casual raiders, was, we're going to get together on Friday. We're going to take out the first room. Second night, Saturday, we're going to match up or group up and take out the second room. And that's what we're going to do. And then that way we're only grouping for one night. And then the next day, hey, we're going to run the second encounter. If the whole group from Friday wants to go, everybody's welcome. But if we can't, then we only need to fill in 1 or 2 people for one room. And the raid was a week-long excursion. I don't necessarily expect console raids to get like that, but because of that, I really enjoy it. I don't care how long it takes me to beat it. I want to beat it. And going back to the first point, I want to beat the same fucking raid that PC has. I don't care if it's bugged, fix it. If not, don't touch it. Don't nerf it. Don't change it.
No, it doesn't need
lower the difficulty. Really I want to beat the same raid that PC does, even that PC has, even if it takes me a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month before I can finally
Yeah.
get my build locked in. I want to know that I'm beating the same content, even if it's
I
harder to
think
do.
I think it's really, and this is for everyone, myself included, because I haven't even beaten the first room. I've only experienced 2 rooms, like I mentioned. I really think once everyone really figures out and gets their strats down amongst their people, like, and really gets their build into a certain part. Like we were playing with a guy the other night. He had damage to elites was at 10%. It's just unacceptable. Like in my opinion, like you can't be in there with, like, you got to have certain levels and you got to build a certain way and you got to figure that out. And that takes time and effort and thinking and even me, like, I'm working my build right now to try and get it better. I'm trying to convince my friends who I like the game with, like, hey, let's try it this way. We're talking offline, like, we're putting the effort in, and that's what gaming is really cool in that regard. This raid is really hard. It's not going to be as brutally hard on everybody in a month or two when strats and build ideas really start to come to life. Like, you start hearing people, someone in chat mentioned it, like, try the Sweet Dreams. That's a good idea. It's very dangerous, but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Imperium threw up the idea with the pulse. So if you're scrambled and you can't pop Boomer's chest piece and you can't get a shot on, you could call communication. Yo, Imp, we need that pulse. We need that pulse, baby. And he's got it. And boom, and you avoid that heal and you do the cycles all over.
Yeah.
This raid is truly about communication and DPS. If you don't have either, you're not going to move on it. It's just that simple.
I want to push back a little bit against the damage to elite thing. There's a lot of damage in this game that's hidden off of the stat sheet that you can't see.
Okay.
My LMG build, for example, and again, it wasn't good enough for the raid, I don't think. But again, you know what? One quick point to go back to one of your original points about 8 people and not being able to figure out who is weak and where you failed at. I think this raid needs, the one change I would make for this raid from what I've seen so far is a wipe screen. When you wipe, you get the same screen that you get at the end of a mission so that you can see how much DPS everybody did, how much
100%.
healing they did, so that you can kind of gauge where you can change or like where you need to improve. Because right now, I have no idea if we're just not doing enough DPS or if we're just not communicating or if we're not killing ads. Like, you can kind of get that feel, but that is something for like a group like Marco and people that play together, just have that instinctive ability to be able to figure out who's not pulling their weight or whatever. But for the average person, something like that is invaluable, like to figure out who's not doing enough damage, who's taking too much damage, you know, whatever. So like, I really think that's needed.
I agree, and I think honestly, even if it feels like you and me and six others who we really know well, it's still a good talking point because that screen's gonna come up, and as long as you don't have, as long as you have, like, you're able to take criticism. If you can go, let's say the average 6 guys and ladies, of course, all did 1 million DPS, and then Johnny's at the bottom with Jake, and they're like 50,000 each. You're like, we got to help you. We got to figure out what you're doing because that's a problem. It's very much like Destiny. If everyone's kind of within the same, but then you have those 2 or 3, and a lot of people don't like that. They don't like to be called out. But listen, you have to, because otherwise you can't fix. That's a problem. So let's fix it. Let's get your strats right. Let's get your guns right. Let's get your timing right. Let's get our coordination right. So that way there shouldn't be that much of a drop off. I would absolutely 100% love a wipe screen with DPS and like kills. Like if Janko's got 300 kills in the room and the rest of the team has 4 among 6 other players, that's a problem. Obviously, blowing out of proportion with the 110%. I had a good question, and maybe it's in line with that too.
1 sec. I want to push back still on the damage to elites thing.
Okay.
There's like my entire build, right? I'm running Unstoppable Force on my chest piece. My mask, I'm running Spotter. On the ropes on my backpack, and then compensated on my gloves. If I look on my build sheet, right on my stats sheet, it only shows me at like 20% LMG damage from like or 15% LMG, or I think it was like 23% or 20 something. It was some weird number that was really low LMG damage, which is a 15 from Demolitionist, and then a percentage from one piece.
Okay.
And then all weapon damage was showing like 15%. But
so you're about 40% total.
It depends, because if I get one kill on an ad, then I get from Unstoppable Force, I'm running 280,000 armor. I think I figured out that's like 16%. So there's 16% right there. Spotter, if that enemy is pulsed, that's another 20%. So that's 36% right there, not including the total damage from compensated, which is another 15. So now we're talking about 51 or 61? I lost my math. Let's just say 50% total weapon damage, which to me is way better than 50% damage to elites or whatever. So
I think it's good against the reds and the purples, and probably even still against the golds to an extent. But where I think the DTE is really valuable, and I'm not advocating for the entire team to be at a certain DTE. I think this is just strat wise, this is more my plan. I'm not going in there with less than 3 people with less than 50% damage to elites, because the boss is 100% armor. That's all he is. Once his armor is gone, you could kill him with pistols, like the mini bosses.
Yeah,
and the gold guys are all armor. The purples is armor, but like the weapon damage is going to chunk that, and the weapon damage will chunk the reds. So I think you need to have some people who could chunk and burn down those purple and golds. And if you don't have high damage to elites or a mixture of even decent weapon damage, you're not going to burn NPCs down. It's just not going to happen.
Weapon damage is just weapon damage. It's not health damage. It's not damage to health. It's just straight up weapon damage. Damage to elites doesn't scale higher. If I do, let's say I've got 50% damage to elites and 50% weapon damage, and I use the same weapon shooting an elite, I'm going to do the same damage. Because right,
but I'm talking about chunking their armor down. Like it's not you can't burn down a gold faster with weapon damage.
You would burn them down the exact same. I'm not saying faster.
I disagree.
No, you would, because
I'm seeing it in the group last night. We had 2 guys were on one side of the room in room 2, right? And they have a mini boss, and he's all armor. That's an elite. And it was me, it was Butter, and another guy. And one other random. The 3 of us all had 60% or more of damage to elites, and the 4th guy was probably between 30 and 50. I don't remember. Right. He was lower. Our room was sitting there for minutes waiting for the other team who didn't have as much damage to elites to kill their boss. Okay. Now, I don't know what their weapon damage was, but my point is, like, that damage to elites shreds their armor faster than weapon damage.
It doesn't, though. That's Imp just put it perfectly. Weapon damage scales your damage per bullet on your item, right? Whereas damage to elites is only extra damage towards elites. So let's say my gun, for ease of math, does 100 points of damage per bullet, and I have 10% damage to elites. Against an elite, I'm going to do 110 points of damage, but against a purple, I'm only going to do 100. If I have 10% weapon damage, I'm going to do 110 points of damage no matter who I shoot. Red, purple, blue, gold, orange, fucking chartreuse. I'm going to do 110 points of damage versus anything I shoot, because damage to elites damage doesn't scale up against elites more than weapon damage does against anybody else. It's just bonus damage to elites. You can focus it on elites because
exactly, but look at the bosses. Like, that's the hardest part of every content in that room, from Boomer to the second room. Like, if you can't burn down a red and you're proccing heavy into weapon damage, you're not going to burn down a gold faster.
But take the reds out of it, John. What I'm saying is
the purples.
What I'm saying is, okay, you and I fighting Boomer, we've got the exact same builds, exact same weapons, except you have 50% damage to elites. I have 50% weapon damage. That's the only difference. We are going to do the exact same damage to that boss, because your damage to elites number is going to do that 50% bonus damage to that boss. My 50% is in weapon damage, so my weapon intrinsically is just going to do 50% more damage to anybody I shoot. So you're gonna do more damage to that boss than you will a red. I'm gonna do the same amount of damage to that boss as I would to a purple or a red. Like, we are gonna do the same amount of damage to Boomer, whether it's all weapon damage or whether it's damage to elites, because that's just the way it works.
I don't see it that way.
Go into the
Again,
shooting range.
Look at the room 2 analogy I just put up. Like, there's
but
our goal was to beat the boss. Like, our goal is not to beat purples and reds.
I understand that, but we don't know what their builds were. They didn't have enough damage to elites, but they may not have been stacking weapon damage either. If you don't have either, yeah, you're gonna be shit out of luck. But go into the shooting range with a build that has damage to elites and set the shooting range thing.
But it doesn't scale there, so you can't use those numbers.
But the point is, it doesn't scale towards what you're doing in the raid or whatever. But for the purposes of the example, you'll see if you have a gun that does 100 points of damage and you set your shooting range at purples, and you've got, again, for ease of math, 10% weapon damage, you're going to do 110 points of damage. If you set that to elites, you're going to do 110 points of damage. If you have 10% damage to elites and you set that to purple, you're going to do 100 points of damage. If you set it to elites, you're going to do 110 points of damage. You're going to do less damage to purples than you will elites if you only stack damage to elites. Weapon damage is going to be straight across the board.
That's the thing. I'm not, though. Like, I'm at like 50% weapon damage and I'm at like 85% damage to elites.
And that's fine.
That's my point. You have to proc into both because the bosses shields you're gonna burn them faster.
You're not,
you just are.
But that's if you can, you have to stack both because that's just the way the stats work, right? You can't get enough all weapon damage. Sooner or later you have to proc into something else, right? Because
I'll just say
get enough points.
I will almost guarantee, and because I'll be honest, I'm kind of getting lost in the math, but my 8 guys, if we had 4 guys with damage to elites and 4 guys with like more catered to weapon damage, we will burn the boss down way faster than if you had 8 guys with weapon damage.
I guarantee you won't. I would be willing to bet money on the fact that if you take the same 4 people with the same 4 builds and you take 8 people, 2 different teams, one that stacks, let's just say 100%.
Why aren't people proccing more into weapon damage then?
Because it's more difficult to do, and it takes more skill to pull it off. Like, for my weapon damage to stack the way it is, I have to pop pulse immediately to get 20% bonus damage. Then I have to get a kill from unstoppable force to proc that weapon damage,
which is already hard because you have to get the final bullet, which is against 7 other people.
And I totally understand that. But that's why people aren't doing it, because you have to do that. And then once the pulse runs out, drop your charge, and then, you get on the ropes to proc. Now you're using 3 things on that instead of just damage to elites. But the point is, it's harder to do, but it's overall, you're going to help kill ads quicker, easier, whatever with it, and still do the same amount of damage to elites numbers.
It's definitely easier to stack it. I get what you're saying, but if you look, my point is from the boss's standpoint, and that's what their raid is. Boomer's all bosses and like a handful of NPCs. The reason everyone's struggling with Boomer is they don't have enough damage on him, and they're not burning the ads in the room. The second room, Imp, your point. The second room, one of the bosses is actually weaker. He's weaker, but he's all shield, and then the mini boss is all shields. So you're not going to burn him faster with weapon damage. If I have 85 damage to elites and 40% weapon damage, no hell you're bringing him down.
Is your ping, is your internet crapping out, Johnny?
I don't know.
I lost your pixelated and your cam is frozen. And you were like...
Yeah, I think my internet is a little crap right now.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. Oh, yeah, I'm frozen bad.
Yeah, you were frozen for a minute, so. Are you there? We may have lost Johnny. Oh, I think I hear him typing. Okay, cool. Okay, so, until Johnny gets back. The damage to elites, this whole argument or debate, I guess, it kind of just comes down to it's easier to stack damage to elites, but if I stack, whoa, that's tweaking. Hold on one sec. Okay, we'll just go to this for now. Oops, I didn't mean to leave the call. Oh well, hopefully he calls back. So,
There you go. Is that better?
There you go. Much better. Okay, yeah. Yep, much better. Did you, There we go. I get that... Sec. There we go. Sorry, go ahead with your point, because you got, like, pixelated and your sound was burning out, so I honestly don't know.
All I'm really saying, and this is going to be my strategy, and this is why this is a healthy back and forth, obviously. My strategy is going to be, you absolutely have to have guys who could shred through bosses' armor. You're still going to hit hard against red and purples. I will give you that, depending on the build, and there's a lot of variables there, right? Potentially, you're going to shoot through a purple faster than I am. And reds are reds. Listen, the bottom line is take the reds out of the equation. If you can't burn down a red in the raid, do not play the raid, because it's only going to frustrate you. The purples, I agree with what you're saying, but there's ways around that too. Like, I have obliterate. So if I get a purple and I burn his armor, now I'm critting 25% more for 5 seconds. So then I see another purple and I burn him down. Now here comes an elite. So now I've procced obliterate and I've procced unstoppable force, potentially. Now I go to shoot a gold, an elite, and I've got 85% extra damage on him in addition to 2 other talents. That's my point. Strategically, now I'm in a great position to get rid of the gold. And then the raid so far is all bosses with mega shields. Their health pool is a joke. Once you get, like, if you've watched people burn down Boomer, once their shield is gone, they're celebrating. They're like, cool, 3 shots.
Right.
Done.
Sure.
So my point strategically is you have to have a certain amount of people. And listen, I agree to your point as well, too. You have to have a certain amount of people with good weapon damage or good crit chance, good crit damage. Have to. But from a boss's standpoint of burning down their shields, me personally, I'm investing more in the DTE because it worked before and it's going to work now. It's not like it's changed. It's not like you lose the value from damage to elites from now to compared to a month ago. So,
well, here's why I stopped stacking damage to elites. As much as that. A, because I started running unhinged, and so you kind of have to balance out the weapon shit on, especially on a console more. But I found in hard and challenging content, the elites I would shred. I would absolutely shred a named. At one point my build had, I think, 125 or 130. I think it was like 124% damage to elites, and I would absolutely shred elites. Purples, I would struggle bus against. I couldn't even take them down, so I tried to find a better balance. Damage to elites does not kill armor faster than straight up weapon damage. It just doesn't. Like, it does more damage to elites, but it doesn't burn armor against purples or anything else at all. Weapon damage does the same damage no matter what you're fighting. So a balance of both. And my whole point, I'm not trying to get into an argument of damage to elites or weapon damage.
Not, but I mean, for the damage to elites has always been it burns the armor down faster. Otherwise, there's no point to the burning.
No, it wasn't. Armor damage burned down armor faster. Damage to...
What's the point of having the damage to elites and their health pool is the same as a purple?
Because they're elites. Because they're named. Because their damage...
But once you get their armor down, they're literally a red bar.
Right, but they have more armor. They have more damage mitigation than a purple does. Because they're elites. So they do more damage. They can take more damage.
I'm talking into it.
So, but that's fine. My point being is a balance is good. You definitely have to have a balance. What I was my original point wasn't to get into the debate of that, but it was that when you just look at somebody's stat sheet and they only have 10 or 15 or 20% damage to elites, you can't judge their effectiveness in the raids based solely on that, because they could have a lot of hidden massive damage that, yes, it takes certain circumstances to proc it, but if they're a good player, somebody said earlier that it's talking about play style then at that point, as opposed to just shooting anything. If they're a good player and they do get that procced most often, they're going to do more damage.
I don't understand that comment, Venom. I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, here's this. Imp, me, and Com last night were running, all three of us were running Pulse and Spotter, right?
Yep.
And what that was doing was we had amazing synergy, because then we're all running Pulse, Spotter, and On the Ropes. So if Imp pulses, anybody running Spotter gets 20% bonus damage, because it's just 20% bonus damage against pulsed enemies. So while his Pulse is active, I'm getting 20% bonus damage. Imp is getting 20% bonus, so is Commander Black. Now, Imp's Pulse goes on cooldown. He can drop another skill. Let's say it's just for simplicity's sake, he drops his Chem Launcher Heal. Now, both of his skills are on cooldown. He's now doing 25% damage from On the Ropes, right? He loses the 20 from Pulse, but he's getting 25 from On the Ropes.
Yeah, no, I'm
I
familiar with
Pulse,
that.
but here's the thing. I Pulse now. He's now doing 45% straight up bonus damage, because now his Spotter is active and On the Ropes is active.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing 25% bonus because Pulse is active. As soon as my Pulse goes on cooldown, Com hits his. Now I pop my second skill. Now I'm doing 45% bonus damage. So is Imp. So that is something that synergistically works for the three of us, but that doesn't show up on any stat sheet anywhere. And if we wanted to get into your raid, your raid and we weren't running damage to elites, you would judge us just because we don't have damage to elites. And that's where I'm saying there's a lot of things that are hidden off of stat sheets. So just keep an eye out for stuff like that. That's all I was trying to say with that. Because and what Venom was saying is, like, you're talking about a play style that not everybody can do, essentially, I think is what Venom meant, right? Not everybody is going to be able to have the skill or the coordination or the timing or the thought to think, okay, I pulse at the beginning of a fight, I start fighting, as soon as my pulse goes off, I drop a chem launcher at my feet so that procs on cooldown, so now I'm getting 25% bonus damage. Essentially, my character right now always does minimum 20% bonus weapon damage, but that never shows up on my character sheet. It never shows up anywhere.
I'll be honest, strategically, I don't like that at all, because I feel like you're wasting a heal or a talent just to get more damage when heals are pretty important. I don't like to play that way, personally.
I see, and I think because I'm so used to Division 1, I was always proccing my med kits as a damage boost. I can't remember what talent it was, but there was a talent that when you procced a med kit, you would do bonus damage. That's how I'm still wired to that, and that was the meta forever. Like, I honestly think this is, I don't know. I think it's a really, really good way. I prefer that to straight up damage to elites. I really do, because it's better against ads and everything else, but
see, I just don't agree with it, and the reason I don't is because I don't have a problem with reds or purples. Because I procced an average amount into weapon damage, and then I look at, again, the armor and just the fact of their health pool. Once it's gone, a purple and a gold is essentially a red. It's all they are.
No, I totally agree with that.
I've always been under the impression, and I've always known, that the damage to elites helps burn that armor. Otherwise, there's no point, because their health pool is not as significant. Not as significant. Like, it's not like you burn a gold down and their health pool is you still have to shoot them for another 8, 9, 10 seconds. So I personally, and I guess more so for the bosses, like, doing that extra bonus damage, maybe that's where I lost my opinion, and I apologize. That bonus damage against the boss is vital, because I'm watching teams who have good builds, and they're sitting there for days and hours, and they're not taking more than a bar off. You gotta have some players who could chunk that boss, otherwise
Absolutely.
you're never gonna beat any room.
I totally agree. I just think damage to elites isn't the only way to do it. That's all I'm saying. And if I've got,
it's definitely not the only.
And if
way.
I have,
I don't think I was making.
I don't
that case.
no, but I don't even think it's
important.
the best necessary. I don't think that goes any farther. I don't think that that's in a place above running straight up weapon damage. If you run 50% damage to elites, you're going to do the same amount of damage to Boomer as if you have 50% weapon damage procced. It's going to do the same amount of damage. I wish I had a way to test it. I really, really wish I had a way.
I don't know.
But, you know, I just don't know. I don't have a way to test it.
I don't think that's accurate, because otherwise there'd be no point having damage to elites then. What's the
sure
bonus?
There is, because
what's the point?
Because elites have more of a armor pool. They've got more health it wrapped up in their armor, and they're tougher to take down, and they do more damage. So you want to be able to do damage to elites so that you can take them down quicker, or do more damage against that particular enemy type, because that particular enemy type is more dangerous when they're on the ground. So that's why that's there. It's the same reason.
I've never procced heavy into weapon damage, and I've procced heavier into damage to elites, and I feel maybe it's just me feeling it. I feel like I'm doing more damage against them when I proc into that.
I did earlier in Division 2. I procced super heavy into damage to elites, and as soon as I started doing weapon damage, I found and maybe it's just a solo thing or whatever, but I felt I was way more effective
solo.
I felt I was
just scaling,
but even in groups, I felt I was way more effective overall against all enemy types when I started doing more enemy damage as opposed to just damage to elite. Damage to elites and weapon damage stack when shooting elite? Absolutely. That's why a good balance is definitely necessary. Because if you stack weapon damage and damage to elites, yeah, you're going to get that. But my point is let's say we've got, 50% is what we're going to look at somebody's build and say, yes, they're going to be good in this raid. If they have 50% damage to elites, sweet, cool, that's going to be awesome. If they have 10% damage to elites, but they've got 40% weapon damage that's hidden someplace else, you're going to do the same amount of damage if that other person that has 50% damage to elites doesn't have any weapon damage. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying time to raid and test it, right? But again, this is the thing. There's no way to even test it in the raid. Because
you can't test it in the shooting range either.
No, you can test it. You can theoretically absolutely test it in shooting range. Absolutely you can.
Okay.
Because you've got...
I had 20% damage to elites last night, and we made it to the last part of the raid. Yeah, but that's the whole group. That's not necessarily you. You're not the only one shooting.
Right, and that's why, and here's the thing, like, with the raid, you can't test it because we don't have that post screen stats screen, right? Like, when Dado does his weapon testing in Destiny, they go in, they all load up one particular weapon, they shoot for one damage phase or one magazine or whatever, they'll shoot the boss, and then they all wipe. So that when they wipe, they can see the damage numbers that weapon did, or this build did, or what this did, or whatever. We can't do that in the Division. So, but you can go in to the shooting range and do it, because again, the same example that I just made stands true. You're solo and it's against just a regular veteran or an elite, but you can still set the shooting range to have that, and when it scales accordingly. So like, let's say group scaling for 2 people is 20% bonus health. It's going to be 20% bonus health for veterans and elites. They don't scale at different numbers as they go up. So whatever your testing is in the shooting range for this particular thing, DPS I think is something completely different.
So my question is, why am I in the shooting range and I'm hitting headshots for 110,000, and then I go into the raid and I'm hitting for 90?
Probably, I have no idea. Probably because of that damage, because of that scaling that I just talked about. There's going to be scaling, but my point being is, if you hit a headshot for 100,000 in the shooting range, and then you go in the raid and you're hitting for 90,000, that's because of your group scaling. But you're still, if that group scaling wasn't there, you would still be hitting for 100,000 in the raid. You know what I'm saying? That number is just scaled because there's a 10% modifier. right? If you're hitting 100,000 in the shooting range and you go into the raid and you're hitting 90, then that just tells you that the damage scaling modifier for the raid is 10%. So it's taking 10% of your damage away. You're doing 10% less damage, but that's 10% less damage against veterans and elites. So your numbers in the shooting range would still carry over into the raid. It would just be a different percentage, if that makes any sense. Because that's how scaling works.
Okay.
Just stack the 3 basics myself: critical hit chance, critical hit damage, damage to elites. Keep it simple. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely experimenting with more. I'm right now. I actually I started today before the thing. I started going in to take off on the ropes for one, and just trying to just stack, because I did see there were some people that actually were running these hodgepodge builds that had cleared the raid on BS4, and they had hodgepodge builds. Damage to elites weren't out of like in extraordinary numbers, almost no talents. There was literally somebody that had not one of the main talents that everybody wants to run on their gear. They didn't have unstoppable
I'll say this
force.
Real quick about the damage to elites. It's easy to put it on gear. It's not hard, so you don't even have to go out of your way to get it. Like, I didn't really go hard out of my way, and I have 85%.
Yeah,
it's on every piece of gear.
Yeah,
and the nice part, if you can do that, to your point too, is if you can do that, and then you could still get weapon damage, then you have the best of both worlds. Then you're gonna shred.
100%. I agree with that.
That's where I agree there.
And that's where I was saying.
That's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm at like 45 or 50% weapon damage, and then I'm at like 85% damage to elites. So I don't feel it anymore. Like, I feel like I hit really hard.
Yeah. No, and
the nice part about it is you don't have to pop skills and talents and rely on all these other things, because you need those things. Like, you only get 2 med kits, and you only the revives is totally different. But
yeah,
that's where I think, on a random note, the talent efficient is great, because you could turn 2 into essentially 4 or 6, because you have a 50% chance to not consume that med kit. So for me, like, I'd rather not rely on, like, I'm gonna pop and cover and pop a heal while I'm doing more damage. Well, you also lost a heal now, and you only have 2 med kits. It's not like when you're running a legendary mission, or a challenging, I should say, and you have 6 med kits. You could pop those, where if you get in trouble right after you hit a heal, you can now pop an armor piece.
Yeah,
you only have 2, so the heal and the armor piece, in my opinion, are invaluable. I never liked building it around that, and I know you could get crazy numbers with it, but for me personally, I'm not good enough or I don't like that playstyle to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. Right, 59% weapon damage for your AR, 58 elite. You can still boost your damage to elite some, just looking for drops.
Dude, that's really good.
Yeah.
You're going to be hitting hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, Gale he's hitting like a truck. He absolutely is. And to his point, when we were running missions last night at challengings and stuff, he was easily doubling up all of our numbers as far as damage goes. And part of that, I kind of push back a little in chat. That part of it is because he uses Nemesis way better than I do, because I'm so fucking awful at sniping in this game.
I can't. Even on PC, I can't.
My problem is, like, dude, I aim and I hold that damn thing down, and then as soon as I go to let the trigger, either they move or I get flinched or whatever. Like, I just can't get the time. I'm so god awful with that gun. So that's definitely part of it. And the other part is, like, I legitimately just started throwing that build together yesterday. I'm really curious. I'm really curious, though, to try. I'm trying new things. I really am. And that's, this whole conversation kind of got started, or this whole debrief got started with, this week has been kind of exciting because it's reinvigorated my love of this game and, like, my kind of addiction to it, right? Like, I have new things I want to try now. I have new gear that I need to grind. Like, I logged in today even before the debrief, and I was like, what am I going to do? I need gloves. What do I do? I guess I can do some bounties or some weeklies or whatever. Like, yeah, it's amazing. I'm really, really hyped back into it. So we kind of got off topic when we were talking about the matchmaking. What do you think would happen if matchmaking was in the game? Because we kind of touched a little bit whether it should be or shouldn't be, but as we're talking about all of these builds and how do you look and judge another character and or another player's build and things like that, do you think matchmaking should be in the game? And if so, what do you think the effect of it would be? Because last night, I think it should be there as an option no matter what, but I'll get into my deeper thoughts after after you give yours or chat gives theirs. But last night we sat for 3 fucking hours while I was streaming, and I kept putting out the call, hey, we need one more on PS4. We need one more on PS4. Anybody, like if anybody wants to jump in, couldn't get one person. So like, what am
That's been the frustrating part for me.
Without matchmaking, I have no way other than to go to the helicopter and try to find somebody standing around and irritate them with random invites, which is one of my biggest pet peeves in video games. Do not randomly invite me. Do not randomly join me. Just fucking send me a message if you want to join. But then even that is a pain in the ass. So like if we had matchmaking, we're just looking for one. Or if I've got a group of 4 and we can get into matchmaking and matchmake with another group of 4,
Yep. I think it should be there. I've seen a lot on Twitter about people bad mouthing it. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's very simple. If you don't need it, then great. Then what do you care if it's in the game? Like if you're LK Beard and you can make a quick Discord chat, hey, need 7, and 7 are lined up around the block, great. If you're somebody like me who has resources to a lot of other friends and streamers and who can get people in, great. And I'm still having trouble. If it's not affecting you, then why do you care if it's in there?
Right.
I mean, listen, a friend of mine brought this up, and I'm glad you touched upon this. If you are Johnny Streamer and you jump on and you want to play, you want to raid, right? And you matchmake. You hit the matchmake button in theory, and it pulls you in with 7 other random people. If those 7 other people really want to take a risk at bringing in a total all-star or a total scrub, that's their choice.
Yep.
They're willing to. It's almost like I don't quite get the frustration behind it all. Like, I personally don't care if it's in there. I want no part of playing with random people. I want 0 part of it, because for right now, it's still too hard for me. I did that on day 1. No mic, left after an hour. Like, why are you trying to raid? This is not a material that's going to be done in 20 minutes.
Right.
I understand emergencies happen. Great. But at least jump on the mic and be like, yo, man, God forbid, I got to go. I get that. That happens. That being said, like, if you want to matchmake for 6 or 7 people or 4 people, why do I care?
Yeah.
I'm good. I mean, I think the main reason, and actually I want to ask you and chat this as well. This was an interesting comment, and I won't mention their name because I don't know if they want me to. But do you think one of the main reasons they chose not to is because, and this is like the game, the developers, whoever, the decision was made not to, because they don't want people to get so frustrated that they don't do the content? I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I kind of see the logic in it. And let me just touch upon it real quick, and I'll let you take a stab at this one. 8 people with 8 different builds doing very difficult content. I think if that's your theory, the thought was you're thinking maybe they think it's so hard that 8 random people can't do it, but maybe they could. So I don't quite get that theory. I don't totally agree with it. I think there's other ways. There's plenty of ways to network and find people to play with. But if people want to matchmake, but that's separate. If people want to matchmake, like, let them.
Right.
Why do you care?
Here's my thing. Do I think that it's because, to answer your question, you asked if I'm correct.
That theory,
the theory about
that to me,
whether we think Massive didn't do it because if they do, people will get discouraged if they get with bad groups. I don't think that's why, because they're pissing people off just as much, and people aren't engaging with the content without matchmaking, right? There's when I played Destiny 1, I played Destiny 1 for a year and a half before I ever raided for the first time because there was no matchmaking, and I didn't want to have to go to Destiny LFG to try to get a group. Or if I did, and this was my whole point, I made a 25-minute video talking about this, so I don't want to go too much on a rant here, but like, if I go to LFG, yes, there's all these resources. I can find groups all of these places. I can go to Discord, I can go to Twitter, I can go to LFG, I can go to my PlayStation friends and just spam people. Like, there's all these ways that, yes, I can find a group. But if I go to Division 2 LFG and I put up, hey man, looking for a raid group, blah, 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 then they come back, cool, what's your build? Okay, this is it. Cool, do you have a mic? Yup, I do. And we waste 5 to 10 to 15 minutes to try to get into a group, and then I get into a group, and then they deem me not good enough, so I get booted or whatever. I've now wasted 30 to 45 minutes for one group attempt. Whereas if it's matchmaking, I have a far less chance, like my chances of getting in a good group are fewer, but I can take more chances. It'll take me 2 or 3 minutes to matchmake, and then 10 minutes to get into a group for them to boot me, to then me go, cool, I can do that 3 times in the time it takes me once to do an LFG group.
Sure. I mean, essentially, they might do the same thing. They might pull you in, you matchmake, you get with a group, and they go, wow, this guy's build sucks, and his voice is weird. Boom, they kick you out. Guess what you do? New group. And you keep, like, to your point, you keep doing it until you find one. And you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because as a player, that's your choice.
Frustration behind all this, I think it's ridiculous.
I mean, I understand
totally ridiculous.
I understand the frustration of it not being there, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Right? Like, why are you so like? I don't like, again, like, I want to network. I want to get to know Beard and Janko and Kirky, and I want to know Gale, and I met Gale through you. I want to know these people, and I want to be able to be like, you know what? I want to take the legwork myself and set up the team that I want. It's more work, it's more dedication, if you will. It's more precise. Now, the risk with that is Gale might not be on. Janko might be busy. Kirky might say, I don't want to play.
Right.
So now you're beat. So what do? Do you go on Twitter and say, this is stupid, I can't network with anybody? Well, guess what? You're the same person saying matchmaking is stupid. You might be able to get into a group that has 6 people, and they're sitting around going, oh man, Janko and Kirky had to leave, and I wish we could get 2 people in there. Well, guess what? Now their group's open. You hit matchmaking, you get in that group. Why are you going out of your way to be like, this is so dumb, we don't need it? Right. If you don't need it, then great.
Then don't use it.
Don't use it. It's not affecting you. It's the most ridiculous argument on Twitter right now.
It is, and it's so funny because the majority of the people I see that are speaking out against matchmaking are the ones that would never need it in the first place, right? That have massive either fan bases or, you know, just are well networked and well known people that can probably go on Discord right now and come up with 16 people to raid with, right? And like, I haven't been streaming yet for 2 years. Me now streaming, I have an easier job now, or I have an easier time now of trying to find a group than I would 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this content without matchmaking, I never would even be able to think about taking part of it without jumping through all those hoops, getting frustrated, and then just saying, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to do it.
I'll say this much too, and this is for the people who really want matchmaking and they're really frustrated, and I see it on Destiny. I'm on this Destiny 2 Facebook group, and it's a joke. It's a total joke because people will go on there and be like, 650 looking for a carry, and people are like, get good, go find people. And the guy's like, what do you think I'm trying to do?
Right. Yep.
And you know, here's my point for the people who really want matchmaking and don't have it. I feel for you. I do. It should be in there. They promised it. There's no reason for it not to be. And if you don't need it, you know, great. So be it. We've covered that. Here's my point, though, to fall back. Because I kind of saw what Gale said, and it's kind of similar. The reason I met so many different people, in fairness, was through streaming. But guess what? I also networked. I would go to Janko stream and, hey, cool, man, I'm looking for groups. Or wow, you guys are doing really good. Would you ever want to play one night? I met random people running around in Division 1 that I played Division 1 with every single night for 6 months. And they were like, hey, you ever hear of Twitch? Twitch snowballed into whatever. I met different people. Macho introduced me to Beard. Don't just rely, my advice would be, don't just rely upon matchmaking. Go out, get into some streams. Hey, man, I'm struggling with my build. What's wrong with your build? Go into Janko stream, go into my stream, go into Beard stream. I need help with my build. What's wrong with your build? Oh, it sucks. Well, why does it suck? I got nobody to play with. Cool, man. Well, we play with viewers on Fridays. Come by and we'll play with you. Get to know people. Don't just rely upon hitting the F button to matchmake. Like, you got to put some effort in too. But to their point, should it be there? Yes. I would just say, if it's not there, then you got to do some homework and you got to meet some people. I know Gail now through you because I took the time to get to know you.
Yeah.
And now if I wanted to play with Gail and he was on one night, I'm not a total stranger to Gail or whoever. Like, just, I know it's not always comfortable for people, but networking, like, you can't expect to do difficult or awkward or very challenging material if you don't go out and network, because then you're basically asking a total stranger to do everything for you, and that's not cool, in my opinion.
No, but I mean, it's just that first step, right? It's the same as like
step.
To me, it's the same as like internet dating, right? Like, yeah, I could go to a bar and try to meet people or go to church or wherever people meet people. Now, I've never dated anybody I've ever met in real life first, but like, I could do all that, or I can go to a website and, try to find somebody that way, right? It's just a different way to do it. But once I do get match made with that person, it's still up to me to try to foster a friendship, relationship, whatever, right? That's on me.
Well, because you may find out you don't even you may message going in LFG, hey, looking for a group, and Gail responds, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna play with Gail, and then you obviously, Gail, this is not true. You may jump in with Gail and be like, wow, he's a total dick. Wow, I don't understand his language. Wow, like, he's got crazy hours. Like, it's up to you. Why would you want to play with someone and not really at least get onto like a social basis? Like, you don't have to get into like all about your life and everything, and you're just be like, hey man, like, I enjoy gaming with you. You seem cool, or
right,
females, of course.
But that's the same thing. Even if there's matchmaking, and this is my thing that I ended my YouTube video with it. I challenge everybody here, everywhere else. I want one compelling reason why matchmaking shouldn't be in the game. There's a lot of reasons why it might suck, or why it does suck, or why it's not the best
probably
way, whatever.
More so reasons.
But there's not one reason that's compelling to me that I could see like, okay, that makes sense as to why it shouldn't be in the game. Like, it should be there. There's no reason it shouldn't be. Now, whether or not you should engage with it, or whether or not it's the best way to find a group or whatever,
totally different argument.
That's a completely different discussion. But there's not one good reason as to why it shouldn't be in the game.
I agree. I think it's a little silly, because again, like, if you and I and all of us in Starla, we're all in a group of 6 and we want to network and say, let's say we're gods and goddesses at the game and we got the content down and this is a walk in the park, and we're like, you know what? Let's see if we can get, Timmy from California and make his day and get him through something. And then we network with Timmy and we find out he's an amazing person. Can't do that if it's not there.
Right.
If they want to do that and they want a Sherpa or carry or just find people, I mean, right now I'd love to find people. Like, I'm hoping people come through my stream, your stream, Beard stream, because I want people to game with. I want to get to know them more, because like you said, short of just standing there like a jackass and doing jumping jacks, how are you supposed to meet? That's the closest quote unquote in-game matchmaking you have.
Right.
The rest of it is networking, which I don't mind doing, but it requires a lot of time and effort. Sometimes I don't always have it.
Yeah, it totally does. So what do you think? Do you think if it was, and this is where it branches off, right? You said, do we think that Massive didn't put it in because it would be a bad experience and more people would quit? What do you think would happen if matchmaking wasn't? Do you think Reddit would be blowing up with people bitching about matchmaking groups, or would they be blowing up? Would more people have maybe beaten the raid? Do you think?
It's a really good question. I think yes. And yes, I think no matter what, you could ask, like, if you were to post what's the community's favorite color on Reddit, they'd find a way to complain.
Fair enough.
Like they'd be like, "What's your favorite color?" Red. Red sucks.
That's true. That's true.
But for the average person who just goes on there and would comment, no, I honestly, I think it could be good, right? I mean, we've all listen. We've had horror stories going back to Clear Sky or Stolen Signal. You matchmake and no one had a mic. Listen, if people don't have a mic, especially for those on PC, you know what we do? We go like this. We hit. It's really difficult. It's Janko. You have no idea. It's an elaborate process, right? This is what we do. We matchmake in theory, right? And we want to find out if people have a mic. We go like this. Enter MIC ? And then they read that and they go, no. And I go, thanks, you're out of the group. Next person. Like,
see, though,
it's complicated.
But that's on PS4. It's a little
harder on PS4.
Or I was going to say, that's on PC. That's so much easier that's
PS4,
that's actually,
type a message
there's something that's even more difficult with you, because what I would do on PS4 is you matchmake, you get somebody in the group, and I would say, hey, do you have a mic?
You don't have a mic, sure, something, yeah.
No, not even emote. I would just be like, hey, do you have a mic? In my voice chat. And if they don't respond, bye-bye. Like, that's all there is to it. Like,
and that's your choice. And some people may say, you know what? I don't give a shit if they have a mic. Eventually, you'll get to that material point in the raid or even in, like, checkpoint farming.
Yeah.
You don't need a raid. Just shoot what's in front of you.
Right.
But for the raid, for right now, I mean, listen, I'm willing to bet, like, because I'm not a great Destiny player. You're better than I am. But let's say it was, like, you and Gale and Imp. I could almost guarantee that you three could probably go in a Destiny raid with 3 other people without mics, and potentially it wouldn't be easy, but I am willing to bet you guys could probably get 3 randoms with no mic through a Destiny 2 raid. It'd be hard. I think it'd be really hard. I get
it.
That.
Depends on if they've done it before.
That maybe I'm pushing my luck a little bit, but
it all depends to me on whether those people have raided before. Like if they've done Last Wish before, yes, I think the 3 of us could go in. We know what we're doing, so we can see what they're doing if they know what they're doing, and modify ours. Modify our plans accordingly. But there's no way in hell I would challenge. Fucking Glad, I would challenge Goth, I would challenge anybody. Destiny, what the fuck Game Nation, WTF Game Nation, I would challenge them, and they've probably sharpened more people than anybody in the world through the Last Wish raid. I would challenge them to get them and 1 other person to try to get 3 new people through the raid without mics. Man.
Do you think it depends specifically on the raid? Like, don't you think you could probably do it with Leviathan? Like, there'd probably be a lot of subliminal, like run and shoot at the ground and then shoot at targets. Like, maybe I extended my.
You know what? It kind of depends, actually.
There, but
now that I'm thinking about it, it might not be that bad. It might not be as bad, because as long as we've got our mics, we can tell them what to do, and if we're good enough, we can watch to see if they're doing that, and if not, try to teach them, and if not, then just fucking boot them,
Sure.
But there's Last Wish, there's absolutely no way, because there's too many call-outs, especially against Riven. There's way too much stuff that you have to call out that what you're doing. Because either way, you're going to have 2 of those people in one of the rooms against Riven that are going to have to call out eyes, and 1 person can do it all, but man.
See, I think it's maybe I that was maybe a little bit of a reach, but you guys more or less get my point.
Yeah.
I think with Division 1, like particularly, like you and I, we could bring anybody in the world right now. And I know it. I know I could get anybody in the world through Stolen Signal right now with no mic. And I've never met them before. I'd log on right now and I could do it. But it's easy. And it's not as complex as Destiny. With this particular raid, again, like I have some certain things. Like I don't want to raid without people who don't have a mic. It's just I don't know how you can right now.
I just thought of something.
What's that?
And if Imp is still here, he's gonna laugh his ass off at this. Yes, everybody should have a mic, but the flip side to that is everybody needs to know when to use their mic and when to just STF.
Let's do a stream about that one day. Like,
oh my
etiquette.
God, dude, we had 7 of us railing against this guy the other day. There was literally one of the other guys in our group at one point just said to this guy, he was like, dude, do me a favor, mute your mic and leave it muted. Like, there is no reason you need to be talking to us right now. He was overly excitable about everything. Like, oh, the boss is on me. The boss is on me. Ah, boss is down. Boss is down. Boss is down. Dude, it was, and I am not a toxic person. I hate toxicity. I don't want to, but man, it got to a point that with that guy, I was just like, and on top of that, he wasn't even doing what he was supposed to be doing. As the guy is kiting Boomer around the corner, he's supposed to be on a turret. He's nowhere near the turret and not making moves for it. It's like he's following Boomer around, waiting for him to fart so he can just like smell it behind him or something. Like, I don't know what the hell he was trying to do, but oh my God.
Those, it kind of reminds me years ago, right? I was in New Haven. And I was watching a wrestling show, and you're there and you're cheering for your wrestler, and I get that, and you're like, punch him, kick him, blah blah blah. Great, of course. I sat behind this one guy who, on my wildest days, I could never be as annoying as this guy.
Yeah,
he literally thought he was like ringside with like JR, and like everything the other guy was doing. I think it was The Rock versus like the Big Show. Just probably wasn't, but just for names. He'd be like, The Rock has him in the corner. He's elbowing him. He's going down. The Big Show's been isolated. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, oh, man. My buddy, who's so quiet, and he's like an uber nerd, he turns around, he goes, he's not fucking isolated. Shut up and let him play. I was like, dude, the guy, like, it was just out of control. And I've done that with gamers, too. Like, man, like, I'm being shot at. Like, shoot back,
right?
like we know you're being shot at. We're all being shot at. It's a game, like,
right? This isn't Pornhub the game. This is the Division. Yeah. We know that you're going to be shot at, and guess what? Even in Pornhub the game, depending on what room you go in, you're going to get shot at. It might not be with a gun, but somebody's going to be shooting something at you.
Yeah, it might be a third leg, but sure. We got to do that one day. I'm writing that down, like, raid etiquette. Pros and cons.
No, Star, that's a good point. I mean, there's all kinds of raid etiquette, and I think we wanted to do this actually like the week before the raid or whatever. I remember we had talked about doing this show before months ago,
we'll
and then we missed a show because of just life. But I mean, you can't. Just don't get frustrated. Like, you can't get frustrated, and you can't get frustrated at your teammates, because then nobody has fun. And if nobody's having fun, you're gonna end up like Johnny said, right? They had a group. What, 2 people dropped out? 3 people?
Yeah.
Like after like 45 minutes, and that's gonna happen. We were actually doing relatively well, and we were having a lot of fun. We had 2 people that weren't even randoms that just dropped out. No word, no nothing, just left. At least say, hey man, I'm getting going. Because what happened? The first guy dropped out.
Man, I'm overwhelmed, or this is too hard, or I'm really just not feeling it. Do you guys want to pull somebody in? We don't know you. It's not like you live next door. We don't work with you. We're not going to be awkward every day and see you. I've done that to people, like, man, I'm not feeling it. I got to go. They're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, but
next guy up, next lady up.
But that's the whole thing. Like, he dropped out, and then we're like, wait, did he disconnect? Is he coming back? Is he not? Like, we don't know. So we sit around for 10 or 15 minutes trying to figure out if this person's coming back. If they're not, well, I guess they're not coming back. Cool. We need to find another person. So then we have to start trying to go out and find another person. And then during that process, somebody else got frustrated, disconnected with no fucking word. Yep. And then we're like, wait.
Or the worst is they just leave, or they do get disconnected. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, Johnny, you want to jump in? Yeah, I'll jump in. And then so-and-so comes back in the chat and be like, why'd you replace me? Now you have this real awkward moment.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sit around and wait. Like, people's gaming time is sometimes it's, for lack of a better term, it's valuable. It's precious. Like, you might wait for a weekend to come. You're like, oh, sweet, I can finally game all night. And then, some people just can't get on every single day all the time.
Which is another thing about matchmaking, right? Our time is valuable. We want to feel rewarded for our time.
Yes.
Let's say the raid's super difficult, obviously, right? I have 4 hours on a Saturday that I can play. Let's say for this experimental, fucking anecdotal story, that I going in, I don't know this, but as the writer of this, I'm going to say that this person is not going to finish a raid no matter what. They're just not going to matchmake with a good group, whether through LFG or through matchmaking. Now, that person has 4 hours. If they match make through LFG and it takes them, let's say, 15, 20 minutes each time to be able to get into the raid or to be able to get a group, and then another 10 minutes, let's say it takes them a half an hour just to be able to get into the raid. And then after 15 minutes, they're told, no, they get dropped. They're not good, whatever. The group gets frustrated. They break up, whatever. You're getting into one raid an hour and you're getting about 15 minutes worth of gameplay per hour. If you match make, you're going to get into a raid within 5 minutes, maybe 10, right? And you're going to get 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, if the content's popping, you might get in seconds.
Right. You're at least going to get game time, which with that, you can learn valuable things. If the Last Wish raid had matchmaking, I could have gotten in with a matchmaking group on day one, and I actually did do this. I did load in solo and kind of look around, right? Where you can see the symbols or whatever, and if you get in and people are wiping, even if nobody knows what to do, you can pick up what to do so that the next time you go in, if you do get a good group, and they're like, well, we're new, you can be like, hey, well, cool, there's going to be these symbols, and I've seen that part, and I'm not sure what happens after that, but, there's that, you at least get some experience, and some experience is always better than no experience.
Yep.
And in that 4 hours,
trial and error, man. I mean,
yeah,
you just do. I could remember clear as day doing, Leviathan raids, and the first time, oh god, I to this day I don't remember who it was, but I feel bad as hell for them. I'm like, I gotta jump through what?
Yeah.
And then I learned and I got a base of knowledge, and then when I got in with you and Imp and Gale and whoever, I was like, I took what I know, and you guys were like, no, man. Like, I remember telling Imp a quick story. He was like, I was going to do the jump puzzle at the very end. I'm like, dude, I can never make it to the very end. Let me put on my stompies. He's like, no, that's not going to make you run faster. You're a hunter. Just run. Don't jump until you get through, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. You know what happened? I got through the very first time.
Yeah.
And then from there on out, I took his knowledge and I adapted and I applied it every time. But in between those other jump puzzles, I wasn't good. But, you got to ask questions. You got to take advice. You got to learn from your failures and your experiences. If you go, and that's the one thing too, real quick, like if you go into the raid and you're not good at something, and like, let's say Janko's like, no, Johnny, like you have to get on those turrets. Don't be that guy or girl is like, I know what I'm doing. No, you don't, because obviously, or sorry, maybe we think you don't, and our strategy is for you to be there, and we feel it's going to be successful. Like, you got to be able to be like, all right, cool, man, I'll try it, because you know what happens then? Let's say you beat it, and then you learn. You're like, oh, cool, okay. Constructive criticism, huge. Got to be able to take it.
100%. And you even kind of, especially if you're matchmaking, you need to have a thick enough skin where even if it's not constructive criticism, that you need to still be able to take it a little bit. But
because don't forget, you
don't be abused.
Try to be with randoms,
right. Don't be abused. Like don't allow yourself to be abused and go in and have people call you names and just be absolute prick bags. But expect that like somebody might not be like, okay, now Mr. JohnnyBoom, I see that we had said that we need you to get on the turret, and I kind of I might have noticed that like when I was coming around that I didn't see you on the turret. Now you might have been there, but I didn't see you there. Were you on the turret? Was there something that kept you from... Like, that's not going to happen. Like, somebody might be like, yo, Johnny, you're supposed to be on the turret, dude. What the fuck happened? Yeah. Right?
I always equate it to this. Like, you matchmake. It's like you popping up. Like, let's just say you and I didn't know each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did this hypothetical, like, matchmaking. And you walked in my house and, like, we're having dinner. And you're like, why are you having dinner now? I don't want to eat that. Well... okay,
yeah,
go somewhere else and eat. Like,
right.
I mean, you gotta balance. It's almost like someone else's house, someone else's rules when you come in their group. I've done that before, and I found like groups where I'm like, why the hell are you doing stolen signal like that? They're like, because this is what we do. I'm like, all right, I don't run it that way. I'll try it your way, and if it doesn't work and you're getting annoyed, just like, man, I think I'm just gonna leave if you guys want to pick somebody up, because I don't agree with this strat, and you guys aren't listening to me either. I just don't think it's gonna work. And then leave.
Yeah.
I mean, no big deal. But again, unfortunately, we can't do that now, but just kind of like random, like, advice, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean...
I've been in groups where I don't like people's strats. I've played with you, and at times, like, some of the people you were gaming with, I didn't like their strats, but I kept my mouth shut, and I ran with it because people were being polite, and it's their house. They're trying it their way, so I'm like, I'm going to adapt and try it their way.
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. It's funny, and I won't get too much into it, but like when I'm streaming, I hate leading the raid. I just don't want to.
I know you told me that,
I was telling you that the other day. Like I want to be able to, and I actually loved when we would raid in Destiny, because like either Rapture or Imp or even with my other guild like John would be the one to explain to new people what they're supposed to do. So I can get in the group, mute the conversation and just talk to chat and hang out, and then once people are like, yo, we're getting ready to start, cool, unmute and then go and do my job.
Yeah.
Like I prefer that. I don't like leading a raid because I know that I get more of like that. Even the other day, man, like if I know what I'm supposed to do and I feel like I'm doing it, man, I hate seeing people not doing what they're supposed to do. It gets so frustrating because then and we were running into trouble in Boomer because then I started off and I'm on ads and I'm supposed to be on like the monitors and watching that and like helping out. And then, like, I noticed these people aren't on the turret, so then I'm running over there to get on turret duty also, but then as they're running, they bring them too close to the turret, so then I have aggro, so then I run Boomer away from the turret, but then nobody takes it, so then I'm frustrated, so then I go back to the turret, and now ads aren't getting killed because I'm not on my job, because I'm trying to do somebody else's job, and, you know, it just turns into a cluster real effing quick.
Real fast.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, really, really fast.
Point my head.
Dude, watch your head, man.
Low bridge.
Indeed. So
yeah, that'll be a cool show. I think we'll talk about that, and I think we can go over some pros and cons based on our experience. Like our cons, maybe you're a pro, so we could. That's always a good thing too. Maybe we might not want to always do something, or we're against it. You say why we should, and maybe we have a change of heart. That's a good thing too.
100%. Give me a sec. I gotta run to the bathroom real quick.
Sure.
I've been holding it for a while. I gotta pee so bad. I've drank too much pop. So take over, do whatever you want. I'll be right back. Chat. See you in a minute.
All right, guys. We're gonna actually scroll back a little bit, see if you missed any good comments. Again, thank you guys for stopping by the debrief today. It's always cool, I should say, when you guys do. And it's something we really do enjoy. Again, you can follow Janko. His information is there below his screen, and then mine is there as well. So if you guys have questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And we do have a cool couple features, or kind of getting towards the end of our debrief. And then, as always, make sure you stick around for the closing song. It's Janko's choice this week. It always makes for a good laugh and a good way to end your debrief here. So, where's the best place to get DW tech? You mean DH tech, or is it DW? Oh, I know, the green tech for the crafting. The specific bosses, Carbink, unfortunately, they're random drops. If you mean the random tech, are you talking about the components or the tech? The components, I actually had a lot of luck with it in the DZ and the ODZ, just running around looking for Black Tusk, just patrolling. Had a lot of luck with that. It seemed to drop pretty good, excuse me. Just go in the ODZ. If you find a group and the 4 of them shoot you on sight, just leave. Go get another server. Just bounce around a few times. The good thing about that, too, is if you're not getting a lot of Black Tusk, and you're getting bullied, quote unquote, it'll put you in a new server, hopefully, and you could try to like just farm it that way. Yeah, I would say try it that way. I don't have a lot of good luck personally in the open world, just finding random Black Tusk. They're there. I like the ODZ because it's a little bit more confined, and you tend to see things a little bit easier. And DH Tech, I've been running missions and nothing. I'll try the don't zone. Yeah. I gotta be honest, I was really disappointed in the Hardwire Carbink. I was really excited to do that quest. I think quests are really cool. I don't know what you guys in chat think, if they should do some more quests. I really dig them. Maybe that's the Destiny fan in me. But then I crafted it, and I know they changed it with this last update, but man, it just doesn't feel right. And I wish, on a side note too, I wish like True Patriot and the other ones were a little bit better for the raid. Is anybody really using True Patriot and good success on the raid? I think when I first saw it, like even like Kirky and I were like, man, we got to try and put that in the raid. That debuff will be really good. And I think it's good for the damage to armor, because if you run 2 True Patriot, you get 10% there. And that's armor for purples or yellows. So I don't know. I just don't see the value in running a full set of True Patriot right now. You seen a lot of True Patriot? Really? Like full 6 pieces? I got a good set. I threw it together, Carbink, and I don't know how great it is. I like it, but I tried running it the other day with Armored from excuse me, I got a cough. From Armor's Army. I ran 6 pieces of True Patriot with a Pestilence. What's the matter? Do you want headphones? Go upstairs and watch TV. Yeah. There's Netflix on that TV. It's weird. But thank you. Yeah, 6-piece, most were armor based. The problem I'm seeing with like the True Patriot, I just don't know how much return on investment you're getting with those buffs and debuffs. It's debuffs mostly, isn't it? I really like the idea behind it. I wish they would. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not using it right. I'll see. Anybody who I've talked to is like, stay away from it. Go meta. Go gold build. Go. Not to bring up a sword subject, but go. Weapon damage. Go damage to elites. Again, I was kind of under the impression that the damage to elites was better off. Maybe I learned a little something today. Maybe it's not necessarily as great as I thought. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, the point is basically everyone told me go meta base, like avoid that stuff. And they had success with it, so that's where their opinion came from. So I don't know. Been messing with everything, looking for something I like. That's the beauty of it, man. Like Janko said, welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks. Sorry it took so long. My dog shit on the floor in the bathroom, so I had to clean it up.
That's cool. Isn't that nice of him?
It was so nice of her. Since we got in the new house, man, she's just reverting, like the housebreaking. Just, God, she was a train, never had issues. Now, constantly having issues. So.
Yeah. Venom says, we were talking about real quick, like basically kind of like True Patriot, good, bad, indifferent, like for the raid. Just we were talking about like, hey, like, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Just kind of random topic came up. And so Venom saying, no matter what set you run, you really give up a ton of talents. That's the downside to True Patriot. I just don't feel like the investment is there. I will gladly give up talents if that benefit is there. I don't see it. Maybe I'm using it wrong, or maybe I'm just not seeing the value in it. I don't know.
When I was looking through,
cool, I'll be honest, on the surface.
Which one? True Patriot or
True Patriot for like the raid? Like I'm wondering like if it's the effectiveness, the value is really worth it or not.
My True Patriot build blows. So like I had put it together on the day before the raid, and I was trying to put together a 6-piece build just to have it, just in case. And so I couldn't. I started trying to like reroll weapon damage or damage to elites or whatever onto pieces, and then I ran out of friggin' materials, so I couldn't. And when we were in the raid, somebody was running it, and it was kind of cool. I don't even know. I can't tell you what the red, white, and blue, or the red, or the white, or whatever the different stats do.
I forget as well. I'm sure we could all double check it, but yeah.
But like I would see people with the buffs here and there, and I was like, man, I wonder if you can apply the buffs even when he's immune to the boss, so that maybe you'd have the buff, but I think you have to do damage in order to do it. So like it didn't seem to help much against the boss. I tried to run it also with the other guy, just thinking maybe it would help ads get cleared quicker, and my build just wasn't good. But
I want to keep trying it. I ran mine. I was telling Carbink in chat, like I ran mine with Pestilence. And I kind of stayed on more ad control, and then I would help try to pop the center chest on Boomer, and then obviously I would try to get over for damage phase. But what I was trying to do basically was while they were doing damage phase, I was trying to make sure that none of them would get shot in the back. And obviously I can't defend everybody, but
right,
try to get the closest person next to me and make sure their 6 was clear. I don't know. I didn't really dig it as much. I thought the Pestilence is a cool idea because that cloud is 400% damage if they go through it. Like, so if you can burn an NPC and the one next to him, oof, there I am on board. Very much so. That weapon damage, you cannot compete with 400% weapon damage if they get that cloud damage. That is just silly good.
Yeah, I think it's too hard to.
That's the trade-off. It's really hard to get them either grouped or get them to be that spider sense. They almost like avoid it, or they're just not there in general.
Yeah, or getting the ad killed on your own so that you can get the last proc, so that you can proc that cloud where they're going to come in or whatever. And then the individual damage on it seems so low compared to like an M60 or something else. And I know they buffed it, but it still feels really, or
it's
seems
still
really
way low. Like and I could be wrong, so I'm not trying to exaggerate my numbers. I think my damage on my LMG, I use a black market, is like 30k.
Yeah.
And the one on the pestilence is like 15 or 16. I'm like, I'm not giving 14k damage just for that potential cloud. Right. Like, no way.
Well, and that's the other thing, like, you know, the 2 4-pieces, it all depends. I think True Patriot's 2-piece is really good. The 10% damage to armor. If you have the right pieces that have right stats, you know, I've got a mask. I think my True Patriot mask is plus 33% damage to elites, and I think critical hit chance or something like that. If I can incorporate that into a build, hell yeah, because like on my mask, I'm using spotter, but then that could change the way I play something else, so that might be worth it. And then if I throw it on a holster, which holster you generally don't get a lot of good talents anyway, right? So then if you use a True Patriot holster with it also, now you're getting 10% you know, armor damage plus whatever is on those pieces. So it might be worth it it might be really valuable to throw it into a 2-piece.
Yeah, I've seen people throwing a lot of gold builds together with 2-piece, and they're hitting hard.
Yeah.
Venom was saying like 10% armor damage isn't really much at all. I understand what you're saying. Like, you hear the number 10, but to like kind of bring up our discussion even before, like, you're gonna do nice damage to those purples. That 10% is gonna help. Like, how much is it gonna burn them? Some say like 6 seconds. Now you put that on, also you're burning them in 2. I don't know. No, maybe. I think there's a lot of factors. Crit chance, crit damage, and then you get a little extra damage to their armor. It's never a bad thing. I know some really notable players who are using it, and they really like it.
I mean, here's the thing too, isn't it?
For what it's worth.
Isn't it blue mods? Isn't it blue mods that you can get damage to armor also on?
There could be. I you know what? I deleted and got rid of those, and I kind of like kicking myself for that one, but
me too. But like 10% is not that much. But again, if it takes you 6 seconds to burn, a 10% bonus is gonna have you burn it in 5.5 seconds instead. But it's still extra damage. And if you're if your choice of running that, it's all about the value of what you're giving up in those 2 slots, right? I wouldn't give it up over like an On the Ropes or an Unstoppable Force or something where, you know, you're going to get 20% damage to elites or something like that, right? I'm not going to give it up over a piece like that. But if the bonuses on the attributes on those 2 pieces that you're going to run are better than what you have over something that has that 20% damage to elites, maybe it is, right?
Maybe. Sure. I think it can help. I mean, you know, it can't hurt. Sometimes, like, you may have to be in a situation where that's the best you could do, and instead of having nothing, I'd rather take 10% than use nothing, or use a talent that's blocked out on a holster that you really like.
Yeah. Speaking of being in a position where you have to use what you can use or what you have, the other day I was going through my inventory trying to clear out a bunch of pieces, and I wanted to dismantle everything that was below 490, right? Because my stash was full. My inventory, I was carrying around 70 pieces at all time. I had so many damn pieces, and a bunch of them I had kept from right when I got to World Tier 5. I kept a bunch of 450s for talents, right? To recalibrate onto other gear pieces.
Right.
And I kept them for talents. So I meant to go through and get rid of all of that. I don't know where my brain was, and I dismantled everything that wasn't below 490 instead. So I ended up getting rid of everything that I had that was above like 480 or 490, other than what I was wearing. And so when I went to put together my assault rifle build yesterday, I was like, where are all my... Oh my God. Like, I had all these 450 pieces, and I had absolutely nothing that was better. So like, I literally, yesterday we were throwing the build together, and today I saw the True Patriot thing, and I tried to throw together a build with 2 pieces of True Patriot, but
I just dig it. I want it to be good. Maybe I'm not using it right, or maybe it just isn't effective for the raid. Maybe it's effective for other material, just not the raid. I don't know.
See, I think with 8 people, it's going to be more effective in the raid with anywhere else, because
that's what I think too. But I'm not. Maybe I got to use it with the right group. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it all comes down to that.
The results.
I think it comes down to that coordination and communication and like raids or group synergy, right? if I'm putting that debuff on things that allow them to take more damage, and I'm reliably doing that, then everybody else in my group can then do more damage, right? So I'm being that support player. I don't even want to know what happened over there. That was a weird face that you just made.
Oh my god. It's just
dog
cigarette
fart
smoke smell. No.
Oh. Gotcha. Gotcha. I thought dog fart.
No, dog fart. I'd be like, all right, gotta go. Love the stream. Catch you next week. Janko, finish over.
You'd just be like, you'd be in your pineapple pizza bucket instead of that. Hey, did you ever do that, by the way?
Nope. I'm not really, I just haven't done it. I think I mentioned that I'm gonna do it at the new house.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
There's tile floor there, so God forbid I get a little extra, mess on the floor. At least we can whiffer it up.
Yeah. So, Chet, was there anything like in particular with the raid, with matchmaking, with like Title Update 3 that you guys in particular want to discuss or have questions about, or anything like that? Or we've got some other stuff still to kind of go over and do stuff, but I kind of wanted to throw it to you guys a little bit on that. I know since we have been talking about matchmaking, Johnny, you play on PC.
Yes.
And I know you're always willing to play with viewers, or at least, try to coordinate with viewers, maybe not every stream, right? Because that can get kind of a pain in the ass. But I do know that you also have your clan in the game that's on PS or on PC. So anybody in chat, if you're on PC and you're looking for kick-ass raid people or just kick-ass people to play with, to gear up with, whatever, hit up Johnny when he's streaming. His stuff's underneath his name.
Thank you, sir.
I'm on PS4, so if you guys have questions or need group help there or anything like that, hit me up. Especially if you just have questions. I know Johnny is really, really good about it, and me too. Whenever I'm solo streaming, and I'm just streaming and I'm just playing, you're never going to see top tier gameplay. Like, I'm not a Wids, I'm not a Marco, I'm not any of those guys.
Here, actually.
But what I do value and what I love doing is talking about this game, talking about builds, talking about like what possibly can help you. And a lot of my community is like that too. Like Gale and Imp are awesome about talking that. So yeah, I mean, just always reach out. You can follow either of us. All of our stuff is right here. And pop on in the streams. Are you streaming tonight? Are you trying to raid? I think that's what you had said that you were going to do.
I want to try and get a raid together. Yeah. I want to see who is around and on. It's a little bit easier being a Sunday. I know most people aren't really working. I know some are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to. No, I will be streaming Monday when I get out of work. I streamed last night. Yeah, last night. So.
Yeah, Mr. PV, seriously, pop in, man. Anytime. We are trying to get a raid going tonight for 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's just so late because I have to watch Game of Thrones because I refuse to have it spoiled for me in chat, and it would happen if I was streaming during it. And I think we've got 5 so far for a raid that are confirmed. Waiting to hear back from a few others. So we're definitely going to try to get in and give Boomer a shot. Like I said at the beginning, we haven't been able to get past Boomer. We know what we're doing. We just need to get the group together to actually do it. And hopefully with what we've been doing with like trying to get our damage up and like really, really focus on getting our builds better, we'll be able to do that. Because I completely agree. It's all about communication, coordination, and DPS. It's all it is.
Very much so.
Yeah. So Johnny introduced a couple of months. Man, this is, I think, our 12th or 13th episode. So, yeah, it was months ago. An idea that we've done once so far. We're going to do it again. I got to find my phone. But it's basically called the lightning round, where we've got a list of Division 2 topics, items, words, things that essentially we're just going to play word association and try to be funny or try to come up with, whatever, try to throw the other person for something, maybe get them on a quick rant about something if they happen to bring up Ubisoft customer support.
Oh, God. Not
inside joke. Oh, wait, that reminds me. Now I have 8 on my list. No, I'm kidding.
Kappa.
Where do you find yourselves farming the most for gear? There's a run from DZ South. If you fast travel to DZ South and you run a little bit north, there's a building that's got like a stairway that goes underground. There's a ton of shit down there. What I was doing yesterday was we were actually grouped up doing tier 3 and tier 4 control points, because each new control point that you get the box that gives you 2 items, you get generally a weapon and an armor piece from that, plus all of the drops from it. So that's really good. And then you can also, right now, I need a pair of gloves and I need an extended mag for the 7.62. So like tier 3, tier 4 control points are what I'm mostly going for. Yeah. And
I like that
missions
DC
are
farm.
really good
That's
too.
really good, man.
DC farm?
Yeah, that's good.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
You know what? That reminds me, Venom, because Johnny just said the DZ farm. I had some people in my chat last night that were saying that the DZ right now is completely effing dead. That everybody is in the raid or trying to get into raid groups. So nobody's in the DZ.
At the absolute worst, you get in, like, I was in one last night, it was dead, and then a group of 4 was basically quote unquote trying to bully me. So I invited Beard and Kirky and Petey in, and then we got into a dead lobby, and then we owned it. We were just farming there for a little while. So it's actually a good time. Like, again, you find you're getting bullied on, just jump into another lobby. Just keep rinsing and repeating.
Yeah, if you're solo Venom, my favorite solo grind is tier 3 control points, because you get a lot of loot. They're not that difficult depending on how good your build is. But yeah, there's the underground areas always have a ton of resources, armor boxes, stuff like that. Depending on what world tier you're in, you might get up more purples and you get high ends, but you'll get the occasional high end. There's a couple of, you can get the keys also when you're down there. Keep an eye out on the walls to get the lock boxes, right? The True Patriot, Hyena boxes and stuff like that, because each one of those give you 2 items. So yeah, anywhere where there's underground and, challenging, even hard mode missions aren't bad. I mean, hard to challenging only give you 1 more item, but
bounties are pretty good too, man. Like, run through your whole bounty list. You could rip out those, and if you need help, hit up Janko, and if hit up his Discord if he's not on it, and hit up me and hit up my Discord. There's plenty of people, surprisingly, still that'll jump in and help you. That content's easy peasy.
Yeah.
And then the nice part is, like, you do a challenging thing, right? And let's say there's like 6 pieces drop. Well, I don't need them, so now your 6 just turned into 12.
Yep.
So you're farming double, easy. Bounties, I think, are really good.
I think bounties,
no risk at all.
No, bounties, I totally forgot. Somebody reached out to me on Twitter and said something to that effect that, they were only like 279 gear score or whatever, like they need help farming and it's really hard for them solo. And I totally forgot about that. Through the majority of mine, I've played the majority of my time up to World Tier 5 was solo. I definitely played World Tier 2, 3, and 4 kind of with some people, but once I got to World Tier 5, I did a ton of shit solo, and a lot of it was bounties, man. I would log on every day and just do bounties. They're good experience. And actually the experience on them all just got boosted.
And you'll get your field proficiency caches, which has got loot in it too.
Yep, that's exactly the point I was just going to make, is because you get good XP. Well, that's where I was going with that when I said XP. It was because you get good XP from that, which then gets you more field proficiency caches, which then, gets you at minimum 2 pieces of gear. And then if you got the 1 perk, you might get a 3rd piece. And, it's all good there. So, yeah. So who wants to go first, Johnny? You want to give me your list first, or do you want me to give you mine first?
I'm gonna go against the grain, and I'm gonna have you put me on the hot seat first, because I think last time I went with you first.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think so.
I barely remember it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll try it.
Okay.
Do you have the cool music too?
You know what? I don't know if I have the cool music, because I've got music queued up for something else. Give me 1 sec. What the hell was the name of that damn show? Oh,
Millionaire. Who wants to be a millionaire?
A millionaire. Well, that's not it. We'll go on. Hopefully this isn't too loud, because my desktop volume is what it is.
I could put my I can unmute it and check and see while you're doing that too. I usually have the stream up.
Let me see how loud this is. Hold on. This is the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music for 1 hour.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Imagine. That's what I should punish Johnny and Alex with. I should make them listen to it.
There you go. Chat, let me know if that's too loud or not. I have no way of telling. It looks like it's loud, but I can't tell.
It's not bad. It actually it can come up a little bit.
Could come up a little. Okay, there we go. It's super loud in my ears, so.
I could only imagine. That was the problem we had last time, too.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Now I've got to queue up this. Okay, there we go. I forgot. I need to queue up the credits music that I had going. Alrighty.
Sweet.
So now I gotta get my list back up. And your 1 minute begins now.
Okay.
Gear sets.
Loathe them.
Apparel event.
Loathe it.
Seriously? The raid.
No. Love it. Can't wait to get better at it. A lot of fun. Very taxing.
Okay. Dark Zone.
Empty, unintimidating, could be a lot of fun, needs a lot of little things. I would love to see a random weather changing pattern there.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
Oh, I'll get back to that. Title update 3.
Overall, pretty happy with it.
Okay, matchmaking.
For the love of fucking God, just give it to us.
Obviously, I didn't know we were going to talk about it for an hour.
Yeah.
And last but not least, build diversity.
Not really there, in my opinion. Gold builds are still all the rage, which, but there are a lot of builds. So, I don't know. Not a good answer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And that was a 7. That's what I came up with. So,
That was good. I like it.
Yeah. Hybrids. There needs to be. I
would
haven't
love running a hybrid build again, man. Oh God.
I'm gonna be honest. I have not even looked up the new gear sets that are in the raid that we get from the raid. So I have no idea what they offer as far as anything. So I don't know if they're gonna be worth making hybrid builds. I really think losing perks on gear sets really hurts gear sets.
Do you think a hybrid, by our estimation from Division 1, is kind of like we have here, where you run like 2 Gilligard, 1 blah blah blah,
Yes.
2 blah blah blah? Would you consider that our version of a hybrid?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I kind of do. It just feels like when I think hybrid, I have this different opinion in my mind.
Are there specialization specific? Interesting.
I don't know. Just different.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, because like the gear sets in this in Division 2 aren't obviously the same, but like those brand sets in Division 2 are essentially what the gear sets were originally in Division 1. They just stop at 3 pieces instead of 4 pieces. So yeah, although we did learn last night that you could totally run a 6-piece Gilligard, and I challenged him to do it, but actually I didn't challenge him to do it. It was just a running joke with us that
and it looks cool.
Yeah, I was talking with Nothing But Skills about possibly raiding with him, and he was like, shoot me screenshots of your build or whatever. And so I was like, we were talking about that last night, and when we realized that you could run 6-piece Gilligard, we were like, run like a 4-16-2 build, and or a 2-16-2 with like 16 defense, because Gilligard always gives you a ton of friggin' defense.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah. Hard to get those gear sets when 1% of the community has beat the raid. Yeah, but I'm surprised it hasn't gotten out there yet about what they do, or, that there hasn't been videos about them or anything else. So, alrighty, we're going to kick on the music again for my lightning round. And Johnny, I'm starting the clock now.
Classified gear.
What?
Classified gear.
I know what? Like, I don't classified gear D1. I'm glad it's gone. Fuck it. I'm glad it's gone. That's why I was like, wait, what? That's not even a thing anymore. I don't even know what that is. I've forgotten it already.
Total curveball.
Yeah.
The snitch.
The snitch. Great shirts. I'm gonna start calling him Gathalion, because he reminds me of King Gathalion every fucking time I see him. And I actually saw him in combat the other day, so that was super fun.
Okay. The Peter North characters.
Peter North characters. I don't even know what that is.
Oh, the Scum Gum guys.
Oh, the gravy shooters? The cum gun guys? Okay, cum gun guys. Yeah, dude. Fun to shoot in the back and make them gravy all over their friends.
Boomer.
Boner.
Right. Who wins a 1v1? Fei Lao or Odessa Sawyer?
Odessa kicks her ass.
Fair enough. Hunters in Division 2.
Hunters in Division 2. My God. Okay, that's a good place to stop. Hunters in Division 2, honestly, like, I need to do them. I need to kill more hunters. I want more lore. I don't think there's enough lore for them. There needs to be more lore. They need to have more story about them. I like the way that they implemented, like, the missions for them and all that. I still need to do them. I'm really bummed out I haven't done them yet, because with the Ivory Keys, from what I saw, you get the little backpack dangler, and I'm all about backpack danglers. So
here's a good question. Odessa, Snitch, and Boomer. You gotta
fuck one, marry one, kill one.
Marry one, kill one. Janko, I guess you can go. Yeah.
Boomer. Who's Boomer?
The boss or me?
Oh, you mean the Boomer boss?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna kill Boomer because fuck him. I want him dead. I'm gonna marry the Snitch because that dude probably has a shit ton of money. And ultimately, I'm a whore, and I'll throw Odessa a mercy fuck.
Interesting.
Boomer wants to fuck. Boom wants to fuck Boomer. I can see it already. That's what he's trying to figure out, how he can say that he wants to have sex with Boomer. See, he's shy. He's blushing right now because of
Yeah, Boomer's gonna get it. He's gonna get the my best effort. I would marry the Snitch because I'd want to walk down the aisle and have, like, his socks and sandals there at the moment of, glory, so to speak. And Odessa's just really annoying, so I'd probably kill her.
Really?
No, I like her. She's just, the fact that she'd probably kick my ass means I'd probably have to take her out first. You know what I mean? Like, survival of the fittest.
Oh, fair enough.
Plus, see, I guess by default, that's just my fallback answer anyways. So
yeah, fair enough. I think that's why she fell in the F1 for me too, because she might be a real fire plug, and you never know what you're gonna get with that. So she could be awesome. Wedding with the Snitch
would be awkward.
His bounty would probably be invited. Oh, that's probably true. But I'm telling you, man, at least we'd be able to play cards, at the reception.
There'd be entertainment, right?
Yeah. I did
Socks
see
and
him.
Sandals for everybody.
Oh, fuck that. I did see him the other day. I was running, and I come out of wherever I'm at, and there's a public event going on down the street. And I look, and the Snitch has a gun and is, like, up against the wheel of a car hiding. And, like, he kept doing, like, this really sneaky, like look up over the hood of the car and then duck back down. And it was really, really interesting. I had never seen that before. So,
nice.
Yeah. Those socks and sandals get you really revved up. Yeah, no. I mean, revved up, angry, yes. Worst card hand gets beaten up by the card.
They probably
dummies.
smell really bad because they probably haven't been washed in a while.
Yeah, worst. Worst. God damn it.
Worst. Sounds like Worcestershire.
Worcestershire sauce. So yeah, on that, chat, anything else? Johnny, anything else? It's at 3:30. We should probably start wrapping up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's cool. No, guys, just good luck with the raid. Work on your builds. Hit up Janko's Discord, hit up mine. Whatever we can do to help, we'll do our best. Communicate, share ideas with one another. Don't be afraid. Like, I don't want to give this away. Someone, like, share the wealth. Like, let's beat this. Let's get people starting to beat Boomer in the raid in general. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up on Twitter. DMs are open. More than welcome to come by my stream anytime. In the meantime, you'll probably see me over at Janko's stream here and there and everywhere. And grab yourself a pair of MeUndies. Shameless plug. I'll see you guys next stream.
Speaking of MeUndies, I'm actually wearing my Dragon MeUndies right now for Game of Thrones. So
I gotta order mine later. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go on and order my MeUndies from MeUndies.com. Shameless plug.
Yep. Save 15% if you click on my link on my channel, but shameless plug. Yeah,
they make your package look bigger. Shameless plug,
dude. They really, really do, man. Man, it's nice, dude. I'm telling you. And honestly, they're just super damn comfortable. But yeah, so check those out. Thank you guys for all of the
thank you guys
compliments on that. But yeah, same. I'm gonna echo Johnny. You know, reach out, Twitter, Discord, my stream, his stream, whatever. You know, I'm always available. I will talk about whatever, you know, anytime. So pop in. I will probably be streaming in a couple of hours. I think I'm gonna do some grinding. Maybe I got to talk to my kid because I haven't seen her in a day and a half. And so I may not get on until after Game of Thrones, but we'll see. I was tossing around an idea of possibly do a watch Game of Thrones stream, which would just be me not talking to chat, watching Game of Thrones. So if that sounds interesting, let me know and I'll do that. But probably not. So we're trying to get a raid together tonight though for 10:30 on PS4. So if you are on PS4, if you're in World Tier 5 and you're, you know, geared up and stuff like that, and you want to get in there and you want to give it a shot, reach out to me on my own Twitch or on my Twitter or on my Discord. So as always, I love you guys. You guys rock. We are going to turn it over to the credits as soon as I get it queued up, because I didn't have it queued up because I'm an idiot. So we'll let that queue.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you, everybody, for giving us your time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you guys.
You guys
enjoy the song. Fantastic. This is become our little staple here on the channel.
Yep, we got the end credit song that is always random and new, so we'll have to see what that is. So hang out for the credits, and we will see you guys next time. Keep on living the dream, guys.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me. It hurts, and I'm too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan. And I'm too sexy for your party, too sexy for your party. The way I'm disco dancing.